Sound busy.
Who's here?
Sound busy.
Yeah. Burberry scars, stripping Perry on, living like a comet, moving amongst the stars. $100,000 sports cars, silk massage, menage a trois. Yes, I've been a boss. Sauntering, Maitre D staying flabbergasted. Her ass about the size of an infant's casket.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special episode of the number one show in Jacksonville, Florida, Stamford, Connecticut, North Carolina, parts unknown, and the undead realm. Welcome to the PWI Award winner for worst Instagram handle ever. Welcome to Top Rope Wrestling Talk. And yeah, I'm gonna be rude and I'm gonna be a little old school since we're going back in time. Yeah, it's me, not DDP, but the greatest group champ in Top Rope history. I am the producer, the soundboard, by God, extraordinaire, the jack of all trades, the master of absolutely none. I am your friendly neighborhood psycho, the one and only, if I could find my music, D-O-M. And it feels so good to play this in front of my man wearing the shirt. I'm just saying.
It just works.
It works. I'm happy. I got a little beer buzz. Let's fucking go. And of course, joining me, probably my favorite woman, and I do use the term loosely, on the planet. She is the first lady of Top Rope Wrestling Talk and possibly Frozen. I don't know. We're going to keep going.
Am I?
Yeah, I think you are.
Maybe.
Really?
She is the whole ass vibe. The ninth wonder of the podcasting world, because we don't treat her like a woman. And since Brucey's here, he's not going to backtalk me, but we damn sure don't treat her like a man.
No, we don't.
She is Latina Heat herself. Grandma Wendy. I wish I could grab Eddie.
We steal. We lie, we cheat, we steal. Mama, see now.
Yes, we lie, we cheat, we steal from Matt Cardona.
That's right.
And of course, I'm going to save the best for last. Our very special guest this week, because Brucey is on vacation. He is the host of the Wrestling Delorean. He is a talented MC. He is a dear friend, a fellow ECW fan, and I love him for it. He is our main man, Mikey from the Wrestling Delorean podcast. Mr. De Niro, where the fuck is that music? There it goes. Great
That's
Scott.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I am extremely excited. It is a long time coming, and I am honored to be here.
Oh, hey, Jay, we already got people in the live chat. I'm not used to it
Yeah,
being
we do.
this quick. Wow. What's up, Jay? What's going on, Pepsi Phil?
Pepsi Phil.
We see you guys. We love you. And please, and thank you for showing up, Mike. We appreciate the hell out of this.
Yeah,
and
man.
bringing your Wrestling Delorean to Top Rope. If you were tuned in when the stream started, you saw it in the background, and then we covered it up. But we're
I had to park it outside. Yeah.
We're all sitting in it. He decided to bring it, so Wendy and I were nice enough to go halves on the plutonium. There may or may not be some dead Libyans rotting away somewhere.
I can neither
can't
confirm nor deny these
deny.
allegations.
That's my homegirl.
Fifth. I plead the
And
fifth.
we are going to jump around to maybe some points in the wrestling week, maybe some points in the distant past. We're just going to have fun and give you what we believe is a great show. We hope you enjoy it. But I think first, just to test this DeLorean, because who knows, this plutonium might have gone bad. Let's try jumping back just to last Monday. That's not too far, right? Like let me set the okay. Let's see. We're gonna get something. Oh, here we go. Hang on to your socks, boys and girls.
Get onto your seat. What was it?
I think we're here. My son doesn't have a
It's
fever.
Monday.
We must be here.
It's the
Wait, Raw's
Monday
on.
again?
Yeah,
That's
it's
about-
definitely Monday.
Oh, man.
It's definitely
Yeah,
Monday.
red on the TV.
Bing bong.
Wow, I gotta go back and tell. I gotta go back and tell past me to be ready on Wednesday. But we're jumping back here because here is where we got a little bit of a little bit of closure to an ongoing saga between New Japan Pro Wrestling and one of my favorites, Kota Ibushi. Like they have been back and forth, just all over social media
Months, yeah.
for months, and it was originally on Monday, New Japan came out with a statement saying that they are going to take back, I think it was 10% of Kota's money from now until September, and he was going to remain on the roster, and they were going to try to move forward from there. So I thought, since Mike is new to us, and since I broke it out a week or so ago, but we haven't really done it a lot, we should play a nice round of Keep It or Kill It. And so the statement is this: Keep it or kill it. Kota Ibushi will stay with New Japan Pro Wrestling moving forward. And let's let our guest chime in first. Mike, keep it or kill it.
I'm gonna say kill it. Ooh. Yeah. I mean, as much as I love Kota Ibushi, I'm a huge Kota Ibushi fan. I'm a big New Japan fan. It's just that shit got really nasty. You know what I mean? It wasn't just come back or we'll fire you. There was, exposing of some infidelity.
Mm-hmm.
There was a real nasty situation. I don't think he wants to
ugly.
go to Japan, regardless of
Yeah.
what the status is. So, I mean, if you remember when Kota Ibushi first signed to New Japan, it was a shock because he was a man who was a journeyman and he wanted to just not be tied down to any company.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
for him to be signed to New Japan in the first place was a shock. But now after all this, I don't think he wants to stay there. And I don't think New Japan right now is trying to save face. I don't think they really want him there. As talented as he is, I don't think they want him there, causing all this riffraff.
Spilling all that tea.
Fair enough. I agree with that statement. And I'm loving that Pepsi Phil just jumped right in on the bandwagon. Where we're going, we don't need kayfabe. Damn right. All right. Grandma, keep it or kill it. Kota Ibushi will stay with New Japan Pro.
Kill it. It's a toxic working environment, and there's no reason to stay, honestly. Just write out his contract, and once he's able to go, I'm out, and it'll give him a chance to go back to being what he wanted to be, like you said, Mike, a journeyman, and
I
just
hear you.
go out and expand further his fan base and do what he wants to do and get out of that abusive relationship. If you've had to spill this much tea and you get penalized for it, get the fuck out of here. I'm fucking done. I'm fucking done.
Seriously.
I'm out.
And there's a reason I call Pepsi Phil King of Comments, because he keeps them coming. But I agreed with the first one. This one, Kota is apparently the Ron Artest of the wrestling world. That's a little much, homie.
Yeah.
He'd have to be coming down the ramp with Hennessy in his hand to be the Ron Artest of wrestling. Just let's get this shit over with.
No
All right. Now, I was almost surprised because I think everybody remembers. If not, I'll take you back because that's what we're all about tonight. When Kota Ibushi first showed up for the Cruiserweight tournament in WWE, when they were kicking off the championship in 205 Live, long before it died, he really got like a huge reaction from the American fans, and he impressed a lot of people, and they wanted to. From what I heard, what I read, they wanted to sign him right there and then. And he went, you know what? Nah, I'm good. I'm going to go back to New Japan. And since then, he's obviously had some success. He's been IWGP champ. He's done a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I don't know if they actually used him properly once he came back. Even with all that being said, and then you look at AEW and you think eventually Kenny's going to come back, which means eventually we could get the Golden Lovers again. We could even get the Golden Elite in the States. Why would you not want to jump all over that if you're Kota Ibushi in this situation and now losing money to honor your contract with a company who got pretty fucking petty on you? I mean, let's just be real.
100%.
So, I mean, it's nothing against New Japan. I love them. I've always loved them. Even before they got popular. But in this situation, I think Kota's leaving. So I'm going to say Kenny. and if I can find it, because it somehow played last week, and I don't have it on my soundboard, like not on the active soundboard, but Rest in Peace just popped up. I have a haunted soundboard. I don't know what the fuck. And I can't even find it now. We all killed it, so let that shit rest in peace. I'll just say.
Nah, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's just too much. You can't go back from some of the things that were done and said. Especially like, look, we've seen people leave companies for a lot less. You know what I mean? We've seen the most classic example probably is CM Punk. You know, he's dealing with the staph infection. He's hurt. He's sick, and WWE's trying to keep him on the show, keep him running, and he's telling him, "I need to, you know,
like I need time
off." Like,
yeah.
So, like, we've seen this before. It probably wasn't as bad. I don't think WWE was like threatening to fire Punk.
No,
it,
I think in comparison, Coda's situation is a lot worse than Punk's, and Punk walked the fuck out with a contract. You know, so.
And if you see Kota Ibushi has some of the most like high impact, hard hitting, strong style matches. The guy puts on some of the best matches in New Japan. He gets hurt because of the style he's doing in your ring. Like, you would think there's a little bit more respect there when he's risking everything in your ring. It's not like he injured himself outside of wrestling and like he hurt himself in an accident or whatever. And it was like, all right, you know. But even then, like, you would think that you would have a little bit more respect for this person. So it's a little shocking that it was that drastic that he would be threatened just because he's not ready to come back to the ring.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the whole situation from the beginning, I was like, is this really fucking happening? And then as it got worse, I was like, wow.
I didn't believe it at first. I thought that was like fake news.
I didn't either. I thought like, oh, here we go getting Meltzered again. Watch.
Yeah.
We're going to find out this was all bullshit, but it never was.
Yeah.
I was like, really? And it just kept escalating. And I was like, wow. You know, like, this is real. Like, he should leave.
It's not like New Japan to have these type of like storylines. So for everyone, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's a work. That's not New Japan style. They don't do it like that. So
I know we had to talk about it last week because Bruce was on, but I feel like even though it looks legitimate, MJF's walkout is more of a work than anything Kota Ibushi.
Yeah.
Like, I believe that before I believe this one.
That man was, you know, shooting. I'm sure that mic would have got cut a long time ago.
Absolutely.
He was saying a lot before.
Long before Fire Me, that mic would have just been.
Exactly.
And even Pesty Phil is Kota looking to quit and build negotiating heat with other companies to scramble, so other companies scramble.
I don't see why not, honestly.
I mean, maybe,
I don't think that's his style, though.
I don't
never
either.
showed me as that type of wrestler.
I don't either.
No,
but after everything that happened over the last few months, could you blame him?
Yeah,
it's what I
certainly
mean. Like,
don't.
That's what I mean with, like, I mean, I don't see why not. Like, it makes sense for that to happen, and even if it's just a byproduct of everything that's occurred, like,
yeah.
Like, I've had people say less shit at me on a job, and I've been like, well, it looks like I'm looking for a new one, you know. So I can't blame Kota for a moment.
Yeah.
Oh, my adopted brother's in the chat.
Hey,
What's up, Alvaligo?
I have a question though. So, say he does, right? Say he leaves New Japan and he does sign with AEW. Do you think that tarnishes the relationship between AEW and New Japan? Being that New Japan, he was under New Japan, and then now he goes to AEW. They're working together now.
I see where you're coming from. I do see where you're coming from, but I think if anything, that only helps the situation because they're working together. So if Kota shows up there, he can still go back. And AEW and New Japan worked a lot worse out just to get to this point.
Yeah.
So I feel like Kota Ibushi wouldn't be the straw that broke that relationship's back. It would take more than that. You know, like they would have to somehow like wrangle Okada to the States for New Japan to be like, fuck you, we're out.
Yeah.
Not that I wouldn't mind seeing that. I'm just saying hypothetically.
I could see it. I could see them just being a little more wary of their relationship, like a little more cautious about how they work with them and everything.
Yeah.
But I don't see it as being like the end all be all.
Because remember when AEW first started, New Japan was under a different regime. So when the Elite left, I forgot Harold May or the other president before.
I know I can never remember the president of New
He
Japan,
felt
so I just say
really
old
offended.
president, new president. You know,
Yeah.
So we won't go with that. So the old president felt really
Like
offended
OG.
that the elite all
Mhm.
left. The new president didn't really have that ties with them. So this
Yeah.
could be the first time that the new president has ties with a wrestler who goes to a partnership
I
company.
mean, I guess it could
But-
cause potential problems, but
I hope not.
considering
Maybe
like
some tension, but
considering like Forbidden Door coming up, and you know the way they've had. I know we're gonna probably talk. We're gonna probably broach this like just Aussie Open on Rampage and that type of thing. I feel like one guy leaving and going to AEW wouldn't really do a lot of damage for that, even if it is Coda.
Yeah.
Does Coda want to join another company or be? I don't know. You'd have to ask him that. And if I can get him on the show and possibly get a translator, I'd be happy to do that. I would welcome the man
I
any
think he
day.
probably wants to be a journeyman. I mean, the man didn't want to sign any contracts, and then he finally signs a contract, and this is what happens.
Well,
maybe
yeah,
this,
you got a
like,
point there.
So maybe this like kind of turns him down from the idea of wanting to be signed completely to another company.
See, this is why I like getting guests on. They bring points of view that I don't even think about because I'm just like, well, fuck, I don't know. Ask him.
What did you ask me for? Did I look at Coda?
But you do make a great point. Like, this is the first contract this man signed, and look what happened. So maybe he does want to be a journeyman. I don't know. I mean, it's one of those situations in wrestling where you say, wait for it. And fans are like, really, man? Fuck. I think this will pay off better than some of the other stuff that promotions ask you to wait for. Like, Coda will probably pan out a lot better than Retribution ever did.
100%. 1,000%.
That's a fair statement.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had people telling me wait for it. I was like, for what?
I mean, there's some things where you could tell right off the bat, like, that was a miss.
Yeah. Like, ooh, this is bad. Like, this ain't gonna work, y'all.
Yeah,
Is
that
his
was
name T-Bar? What?
Ugh.
Oh God, Pepsi Phil, you really need to stop, homie. You have
Oh my
too much
God,
of a,
yes.
you have too much of an obsession with Hornswoggle. Let's just put
Yes.
that out there. 2 words: the Golden Pint, Coda and
Perfect.
Hornswoggle. He can
here
put
for it.
swag into anything. I swear to God. Like it's kind of impressive, but at the same time, it's like, dude, stop it. Get some help. And I think that's where we're gonna stop on this topic. And why don't we jump back in this DeLorean and try to, because it worked the first time. Obviously, the plutonium is good. Let's test it a little bit. Let's go back another day. Let's go to Sunday, shall we? Let's hit it. Let's see what we can do. Come on, warm up. Let's go, baby.
There you go,
She's
there you
old.
go.
Here we go.
Yeah,
We're out.
Here we go.
Hang on, y'all. Oh shit! Yeah, Hell in a Cell is on, so we must be in Sunday.
Oh, God.
All right, so I want to start out with this question because the way they're going these days, it's a fair question.
Yeah.
I know I did, but did either of you actually watch Hell in a Cell?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay.
I watched the women's match and then skimmed through almost everything and then watched the main event.
So you watched the good parts, is what you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
There was some good moments of the show, but
There was. I watched it
Yeah.
live, to be honest, guys. I'm not even gonna you can say what you want about it. People say I hate WWE. No, I watched it live. I gave
I
it a
did too.
chance.
Yeah.
I did enjoy a good portion of it. There were some things that was like, okay, this didn't need to happen, or this could have happened on Raw.
Raw or SmackDown. Yeah.
Yeah, like Elias and I'm sorry, Ezekiel.
It's Ezekiel. They're totally
You can
different
see
people.
no, you can see what boat I'm in. Elias versus Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Like that could have happened on Raw. We didn't really
Yeah.
need that, but the women's triple threat was amazing. There were a couple of very good matches on
That
that.
was a good match, yeah.
And then we got to the main event, and I know they had been talking about Cody's injury all day. And the way they talked about it made me think at first, because I hadn't seen it, this is a work. And he came out kind of keeping that arm down. I was like, oh, you're selling the shit out of this young man. And then he took that coat off, and I went, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I was like, oof, duh.
I was watching with my girl, and she was all like, "He's not gonna wrestle like that. He just came out to like say something to the crowd, like, sorry, I can't wrestle, right?" I'm like, "He's in his gear, like he's going
He's
to
in his
wrestle."
gear. He's doing it.
No, so I mean, the South Philly shorty, my wife had put DJ to bed, my son, and she walked out at the main event, and she saw as Cody was taking his shirt off, and she went, "Oh my god, that's real, isn't it? Is he gonna wrestle like that?" And I was like, "I don't know."
Yeah, that was nasty.
I was having flashbacks to when my knee was that
Oh.
color. I was like, oof, I know that shit's
Yeah,
gotta hurt. Oh my
I've been
god.
there myself.
You ever tear a muscle, like you know the pain
Ugh.
that is.
Yeah, like when I had my hernia, I had a torn muscle too, and that area was all Cody colored right there. It was
Cody
not a
colored.
good look. You if you can convince your wife to do anything with you when you got that right here, like you've got some game.
Ride or die then.
Yeah, like literally at that point. Sorry.
Lord,
I know, bad joke. Anyway, I'll be here all night.
tip your waitress.
But the original question that I had from all this was like, as you are watching this play out, whether it was live or after the fact, as you were watching this play out, did you ever think, should this dude even be in the ring at this point? Like, should he even have entered that cell or just said, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go get my surgery?
Bruh.
Grandma, let's let you kick it off.
Whoever cleared him should be like in the deepest of doo-doo water. Cause what the fuck, dude? Oh my god. Like when my knee was that color, and it was like the doctor was like, you know, if you could do it on your knees, like thank the Lord you didn't tear anything. And that was just a strain. I couldn't even walk. I'm like, what made him think this was a good idea? What doctor was like, you know what, Cody? Go out there, my man. Have your match. Be good, brother. You know, no, get the fuck out. If I was Brandy, I'd be hella pissed. Like, nope, you ain't going out. Over my dead ass body, buried next to your daddy. Are you going out there? Get the fuck out of this fucking arena. Like, I would
Don't you
not
disrespect
allow it.
Dusty on this show. No,
Yeah, I would have been like, no. Like, I get it. You know, all you Dusty boys, you're all tough as shit. But no. The hell, you could have done more damage. It could have been irreparable damage.
I'm gonna say, don't you dare.
Then where are you gonna be
Dusty.
at? Then where are you gonna be at, Cody? Doing another reality show? Doing more game shows? Get the fuck out of here! Nope. Mm-mm.
Rhodes at the bottom.
I would have been.
No. As long as there's no Dusty disrespect on this show, that man is a legend
Honestly.
and an ECW original. If you want to get technical. But I'm gonna save my stuff. Mike, what did you think? Should Dusty have jumped in, or I mean, should Cody have jumped in that ring, or just went, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go get my, I'm gonna stay out, I'm gonna go get my surgery, put somebody in for me.
I mean, personally, I think that he should have not, because he's risking permanent injury if you're that injured. But it just shows that he is already a company man, being with the WWE for like so short since he returned. He's already a company man, because we know Roman Reigns has got a part-time deal right now. We know that there's a lot of injuries in WWE right now, and there was not too much star power on that show. It was a good show, but there was not too much star power. And if Cody would have backed out of that match, then really what do you have? Like, you have just a regular like Raw or SmackDown.
You have Seth freaking Rollins.
Yeah. You have Seth Rollins versus who? Who are you going to put in there last?
You got Seth Rollins and polka dots, no less. The fucking shade.
Bro. And I remember one time Cody said in an interview, the one thing he says is a no-no. You can say anything about me to get heat, but the one thing that's a no-no is don't bring up Dusty.
Yeah.
Right.
He went against his own rules for this freaking feud. But yeah, I mean, he definitely showed that he's a company man, being that, look, I feel like a lot of the weight of the show was on my back to begin with. This was probably going to be the main event regardless, and I can't back out now. Really old school too. You know, you go out there, if you're injured or not, you finish the match, you do what you got to do. So respect to Cody, 100% respect to Cody.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys catch Conan's Keeping It 100?
No, I missed it. What did he say?
I missed it, and I love K-Dog.
I love K-Dog too, and I am really disappointed. They were talking about the match, and they were saying that they think that Cody was kind of milking it a little bit because they wrestled with torn pecs, and it's not that bad. You barely feel it after a while. It's like, come on, how do you go out there?
You
and
barely
disrespect-
feel it after a while.
No,
Yeah,
you feel
I'm
it.
That's like when you go to the doctors and they're like, "Oh, what's your pain level?" You're like, "Oh, it's a 4, but it's tolerable." You're not supposed to be feeling pain, brother.
Exactly. But
Right.
yeah, Conan was like, yeah, I wrestled with a torn pec in Mexico City, and I was fine, and you didn't really feel it. So, and Seth was protecting him, so I don't know why everyone's saying, oh, I'm like, gotta give this man his respect, though. Come on.
Okay, as much as I love K-Dog, because I always have. I know
Yeah, me
people
too,
talk
of
shit,
course.
but I always
Mad
have.
respect.
As much as I love him, there is one thing where it's a torn pec. There's another one that's completely
Off the
torn
bone,
off
yeah.
the bone.
Yeah.
This is like the difference between a sprained ankle and a broken ankle.
Mhm.
Like you can walk on a sprained ankle. You probably shouldn't be walking on a broken ankle.
Yeah.
And you're gonna feel like you might feel some discomfort when you have a sprain, but if the ankle is broken, you are gonna be in hell.
Yep.
So,
Okay, and I know there are a lot of people that were in the boat with you guys and say like take them out. You know what? I'm gonna make it up to Pepsi Phil for talking a little shit. They could have had Hornswoggle in the cell against Seth like that minute, but instead Cody decided to follow through.
Mhm.
And at first, I was with you guys. I was like, I can't believe he's doing this. Like he'd get hurt worse. Like this could be whatever. And then I ended up having a conversation off air after the match, like Monday, with my dude Big Mike, who's usually in our live chats. Wendy knows him, like whatever.
Mhm.
And he was telling me he's got a stepson who was a power lifter, had the same fucking injury. And of course, he couldn't lift anymore. But they said, like, yeah, we'll schedule you for surgery. But at this point, you can do no more damage to this whatsoever. Like, it's done. Like,
Yeah.
what you did is by far bottom of the barrel, worst you can get. And it's going to hurt. But, like,
Yeah.
you can't do anything else to it. So I'm sure doctors told Cody that before the match. And he went, well, fuck it, let's go. So now the question becomes, why did Cody say, well, fuck it, let's fucking go? And the answer is easy. I'll put the question out there to both of you guys. Do you ever in his life remember Cody Rhodes in a singles main event match at a pay-per-view while in WWE?
No.
Never. This was
That's a
the
good point.
first
Very good point.
time. Okay? And now he's injured and he's going to miss his first main event match in WWE, the end of a trilogy, which I guess really didn't need to happen because why are you going to have a best of 3 when you won the first 2?
Yeah,
Series
it wasn't
is
like it was a
over,
rubber
bro.
match. Yeah.
But the hell in the cell was what raised the level of intensity. It made you want to watch because now they're not looking to beat each other; they're looking to kill one another,
Mhm.
and they still did. While Cody had one of the most awful looking fucking injuries I've ever seen in the middle of a
was heinous.
ring. Like
Yeah.
to jump off. We've seen matches where like Bryan Danielson takes a bunch of chops and you turn around and his chest is all purple
Yeah, it
and
looks
black
like
and
ground
red, and you're
beef,
like,
yeah.
oh, that's nasty. But he don't walk in like that.
Sure, yeah.
So I think this was more for Cody to go, you know what, I've never been in this spot before. If I back out, yeah, they might say, oh yeah, when you come back, you're in the main event. But that doesn't mean that I am. So I'm gonna fucking do this. And damn everything else. Like I can't do any more damage. I'm gonna be in pain. Oh well, fuck it. I'm a Rhodes. We'll live with it.
I
and
agree. That's a good point.
and so he just walked out to that cell and he did what he could with one arm. And I give, all the respect to Cody, but I give a ton of respect to Seth too, because he really protected him
Mhm.
throughout what looked like a hellacious match
Oh, yeah.
where they were trying, where you thought, where it still felt like they were trying to kill one another, even though Cody had clearly a glaring injury. So I give respect to both those guys. I don't blame Cody for doing it. I think if he didn't, then when he did come back, maybe he would be back to that Cody Rhodes and WWE level before he left. And
Yeah.
everything that he worked to build up to that point would have just been like for nothing. So fuck it, balls to the wall one night and then take a sledgehammer shot the next day and go home.
Because everyone knew this was going to be his last match for a while. We all
Yeah.
knew with that injury, you're not wrestling next month. You're not going to be on Money in
No.
the Bank. So, yeah, I mean, I totally agree.
Here's to you, Jay. No, do you, buddy. Whatever you got to do, man. I always say that. It doesn't matter. You have a different opinion than me, do you? I'm never going to try to change your opinion. I'm just going to give you mine. There's a huge difference.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those matches that you will remember, even if it wasn't
yeah.
like. I'm not
For
saying
sure.
it was like the greatest cell match of all time. I'm not even, I'm not saying if he walked in without the injury, we might forget about it at some point.
It was probably the
But
greatest
as
cell match in
soon
2022. No.
I was getting to that, thank you. But as soon as he took that coat off and you saw that arm and pack, it was like, ooh, and all the shit that he did and survived. Like, yeah, that's up there as like match of the year candidate at this point for the
Sure.
injury alone.
Give that man his roses for sure.
Yeah, for
Mhm,
real,
for sure.
absolutely.
I mean, just taking the coat off looked like it hurt like a motherfucker.
Yeah, you kind of saw in his face. He's like,
Yeah, he was just kind of like,
Yeah,
like,
even as
bruh.
you're pulling the guy, it's like, oh, and
Yeah.
then once I saw the coat come off, I knew exactly why.
yeah, and I'm like, I don't think he's selling that. That's legit.
No, I'm like that should legitimately
Not only
hurt.
that, can we
I saw it
just
come
take
off
a,
and I was like, "Oh, my titty! Oh, God!"
can we just take a moment to appreciate the way Seth just doesn't mind getting that heel heat? Because there was like he's all fucked up.
Oh,
And
he's
Seth is
thriving and
wearing
vibing.
his coat,
Thriving
digging a
and
kendo
vibing.
stick into that injured pack, just laughing. It's like,
I
you
love
are
Seth
the
as a
scum
character.
of the earth. And he's like, yeah, I know. And you hate me for it, don't you?
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Even-
do. Yeah, I'm
even
doing
when
my
he
job,
revealed
aren't
the-
I?
Yeah, when he revealed the attire, the Dusty attire, like he
Yeah,
came in
while
all
in the polka dots. Like,
He's like,
he had the coat all like this, like he was a flasher or some shit. And then he
yeah, I was
finally,
like, what is he doing? Like, what the? And then when I saw, it, I was like, oh, okay.
I was thinking, like, he's gonna pull this off and be naked underneath. I don't need to see this.
Yeah,
Like,
I was like, what is he hiding?
my last thought on this one is if you look at the way Seth dresses and you look at Becky these days, this is proof that having a kid will drive you insane. Flat out. I love my kid, but I wasn't a psycho before. Well, yes, I was. I can't put that on him.
You're the South Philly homie,
Relax.
and then yeah, you're kidding. Now you're the South Philly psycho.
I was kind of a psycho, but he just drove me. You know, he inspired me to get to new levels. Hey, Brian, how you doing, man?
Brian Cook.
Brian!
What's going on, my dude? I love that guy. I love Brian. He shows up for everything, and we appreciate the shit out of you for it. So okay. I know this shit seems to be working, but we're gonna try again because Lord knows if this plutonium gives out in the live stream, I'm gonna be pissed. So we're gonna try again. We're just gonna try and jump back to Monday real quick and just make sure this shit works. Let's just see. Let's just find out. Come on, hear the flux. There we go.
Ooh, fired up.
This ain't no great value plutonium right here. This is the real deal.
Which we can neither confirm nor deny have we received it.
And no, I will not sell it to North Korea. I'm an American. Anyway, back to Monday, because obviously we had as I said, we had Seth give the swerve with the handshake and then the sledgehammer shot. That was crazy. And I thought that might be the biggest moment of the night. And then all of a sudden, we see the Judgment Day. We see Finn come out to join them, and you thought, like, okay, this is gonna be cool. Like,
Yeah.
because I think I had said over the weekend I'd like to see the Judgment Day add another male member and then go after the Bloodline. Like, let's get heel on heel. Let's just get dirty. Let's get Edge to get his revenge from WrestleMania. Let's see if the Bloodline can lose, or if the Judgment Day can take all those titles from the Bloodline.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
And so when Finn showed up, I thought, oh, this is perfect because, like, Finn's got history with Roman.
Mhm.
Yes.
Edge got history with Roman,
Yes.
you know, and we all know Priest is skinny but badass. So you know that's like the perfect trio to go after these guys. And within minutes of Finn Balor showing up,
Not even
Edge
minutes,
gets-
like seconds
maybe.
Yeah.
Edge gets beaten out like this is the fucking Bullet Club. Can you believe this bullshit?
Wow.
He got jumped out. It's so
He
great.
did.
Usually you have to get jumped into a gang. He got jumped out.
Yeah, right. He got jumped
It's
out.
like as soon as Finn Balor showed up, they went from Judgment Day to the Bullet Club, and they just beat his ass right out.
How does
So-
that even
so-
happen?
Let me try to compose myself a little bit because I know I'm laughing and everything, but it was cool. I mean, the moment itself was cool, but the question becomes: was it too soon to remove Edge from a faction that he created? And I'm gonna let my man De Niro chime in on this first. What do you think about this situation, man?
Not only did he create, but just created. It's brand new. Like, this
Brand
faction's
fucking new.
there's no shelf life on them. They've been here for a long time. I mean, for a short period of time. It was what, just the night after WrestleMania where we got the beginning of this.
Yes.
That
It was. Yeah, I mean, we saw a little bit of Damian Priest come out with Edge during the match with AJ.
We literally
and then,
just added Rhea Ripley.
Yeah,
like they went
what's in
and
the couple weeks ago?
named themselves the Raw after, and then Rhea jumped in it, and you were like, okay,
So
it's cool,
brand
it's
new.
cool.
Now, I'm a huge Finn Balor fan, and I'm glad that he's going to be
Me
getting
too.
a prominent spot. Definitely a fan of Finn Balor, and happy for him, especially being the leader of a faction. We've seen it in New Japan. He definitely elevated his game as the leader of the Bullet Club. So I hope, hopefully lightning could strike twice. This is definitely going to be more darker than the Bullet Club, but just him being like the front man is cool. I just think that is 100% way too soon. I would have been all for Finn Balor joining and then, kind of behind the scenes trying to take over from within, and then eventually they kick Edge out. But doing it so soon was just like, what? Like, it was a cool moment, like you said, but it would have been a cooler moment if it happened in like August or September, maybe. And that's still soon. But yeah, it just seemed way too soon.
Yeah, I hear you. Grandma, chime in on this. Was it too soon?
It felt like when you buy a pair of pants and you're all excited and you try them on and they fit just right in the store, so you buy them and then you get home and you put them away because you're going to wear them tomorrow, and then you go to put them on tomorrow and they don't fit. And you're like, what the shit? I literally just got these. Like, what?
Right.
It's definitely way too fucking soon. Like, they just started this. Like, why would they do this like now? I agree with Mike. It would have been better to have a build up and just like underhanded sneakiness occurring and just, oh, oops, I didn't mean to hit you with the chair in that match. My bad,
Yeah.
Instead, they're like, fuck this shit. Burn it. Ah! Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm with you guys. Like, it felt way too soon. I mean, like Mike had said, we just created this the day after Mania, and Rhea had been in it for about a month, and they were so fucking dominant, and it felt like, and I don't mean this in any kind of like this kind of way. It felt like we had some new remix of like the Ministry of Darkness on Raw, and I loved it.
Especially since Ed was an original member of the Ministry, it just made sense.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It made complete sense. Now that Edge is out of it, now you just have this like weird Bullet Club Ministry of Darkness thing, and you're like,
the goth kids over there.
What?
It's
I mean, I'm happy. The only, bonus, Rhea Ripley showing thigh meat now. That's awesome. I mean, you say what you want about that woman. I know she's big. I know she's strong, but she's fine.
Thick thighs save lives, but they also take lives, and she's fit to take them.
And either way, I'm willing to try. I'm just saying. Sorry, honey. Even my wife has a crush on Rhea Ripley. She probably won't even be mad. She'll be like, he's right, But like we had so many bonuses coming out, and now this. The only thing that I can think is this is a knee-jerk reaction behind the scenes to Cody's injury. Like, we just lost our biggest face.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to course correct. So now we got to beat Edge out of this. And maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but that brings up a little bit of the next question. Grandma, what do you think is next for Edge? Like, we know the faction's going to basically continue doing or attempting to do what they did. But what's next for Edge at this point?
I mean, the obvious thing would be a feud with Finn, like, you took my gang,
Yeah.
That's the obvious thing.
Like
outside
Edge and
of
Finn
that,
at SummerSlam or something.
Yeah, outside of that, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not easy to call.
No,
I'll be
is
honest
Survivor
with you.
Series still a thing? Like,
It
maybe
is.
they could have something
It
there.
is, but it's also like 5 months away.
Yeah,
so
no,
there is
that's
that.
true, that's
and
true.
usually
They're
it's
not gonna build
now
anything
they've
up
turned
like
it
that.
into like Raw versus SmackDown every year, which is fine. But I
Yeah,
do miss those like, hey, this guy and this guy are beefing, so they're gonna go find 3 or 4 other guys and have an elimination.
Yeah,
match.
I miss the old
that
days.
shit.
Mhm.
I miss the old school shit. That's what I grew up on. I admit I'm an older guy, so I appreciate that type of shit. If y'all like Raw and SmackDown, cool. Go watch those original Survivor Series. That shit had heat.
The only reason why I did
but-
the DeLorean concept is because I want to watch the original shit. Like,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. It's why
Honestly.
we created like the way back when reviews and that type of
Mhm.
stuff. We go back, watch like the first episode of Raw or whatever the shit, and just kind of give you our thoughts from not only now but back then and how things
Yeah.
have changed and that type of stuff. But I'm into that old school shit, so if they want to bring that back, cool. But you know, WWE has done this a million times, and what I'm afraid of is they're going to go back to this angle of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So watch Edge. Like next Monday, you'll see like AJ in the locker room, and Edge is gonna come up to him and start like running in his ear, like, "Hey man, you know I got nothing but respect for you, and I didn't know that this was gonna happen, but like
Yeah.
we need to get
I hate that
together."
shit.
And it's like, oh, but they're gonna do their best to try to bring back the Edge before the Judgment Day. The other Alter Bridge song is coming back. The pyro, the jacket, all of that, and all of that is going to be to make up for losing Cody Rhodes for what could be. I mean, Cena had this injury, and they said 6 months, and he came back in 4 for like a Royal Rumble that one year when he came out number 30.
I know
So
they're saying
it-
9 months right now for Cody. So
With Cody, they've said 9. So, you know, you do the math, and even on the short side, like maybe he's back for Survivor Series that Wendy was talking about. But you know, so now you have this big hole to fill, and you've been banking on Cody. Like he's your thumbnail on Peacock. There's countdowns to Cody. He opens the show, he closes the show. Devin will love me for this, and I can say it since Bruce is not here. He is Raw's tribal chief. Open the show with Cody, cut the promo. Close the show with Cody in a match. You know, just everything.
Yeah.
And if you can get Cody in between, and then you lose that. So now you got to come back with something else. And who can be a bigger face immediately than Edge?
I mean, you also have John Cena coming back soon. So
Yeah, he is coming back for the 20-year
yeah,
anniversary.
Celebration,
Or
yeah.
whatever. I don't know
that's
if
not
he's
gonna be
sticking
long-term.
around.
But still, I mean, you have other choices though. You didn't have to break up you didn't have to take Edge out of the equation. So
No, not at all. And Devin, I don't know if you were here, but I had just said that too. Like Edge versus Finn at SummerSlam is at this point. I'm not even going to say possibly. I would say book it.
shout out.
And
Clark
it's so
Kent.
good to have you back, fam. You know I miss my Shield brother. Like me, Devin, and Hafiz. We are the Shield of podcasting. They couldn't have picked a better lunatic fringe. I'm a psycho to begin with. I mean, it's clear. You know, when I'm standing next to Mox, you can't even tell the two of us apart. I'm just saying. But yeah, but I have my feelings on it. I don't know, Mike. Do you have anything outside of what Wendy and I said, or are you just in the same boat? Like, give us
Yeah,
what
I'm
you
in
got
the
on.
same boat. I know there was also reports that Edge wasn't in agreement with WWE wanting to take it more like supernatural, and Edge didn't want that to happen. But I don't think that it was the disagreement on the direction that you would just quickly like take him out, because I don't see them being supernatural starting next week. You know, so it's probably not because of that. Because I know that was like reported on the reason why. It's obvious that they were into panic mode after they found out that Cody is a lot more hurt than they thought. He's going to be out for a while, and we need a top face. This is why, like I was saying this on the Circle of Debate, I was saying everybody gets on AEW about how much talent they have on their roster, but when they have injuries like CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, these guys go down, you still have a stacked roster to people could just like step right up into that role. Where here in the WWE, you have your main guy go down. It's like, oh shit, what are we gonna do?
What do we do?
Gotta take that guy out of here. Now we gotta go into full panic mode. So yeah, I definitely think it's just because of Cody's injury. They need a top face. They have other choices.
Yeah.
You have
like
Bobby Lashley, who could always go for a title. You have Kevin Owens, who like I think that they should turn and push Kevin Owens to the moon. You have AJ Styles, who's capable of being in the main event. He's been WWE champion like 2 times in the past. So there was other choices. I don't think you had to ruin this story. And also what you said about, you know, the whole we may see him team up with AJ. I really hope not, because that is something that the WWE goes towards all the time. And if we do see that, it's just going to make no sense. Like,
Yeah.
why would AJ even be associated with it after this? Like, he might
After all
just
that.
be like, all right, whatever. You know what? I had my problems with Edge, but whatever. I'm going on to bigger and better things because this doesn't include me anymore. It doesn't.
No, like I don't have to worry about this shit anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It just doesn't make sense for them to go that route, but they probably will.
Okay, I do like that. Full panic mode still works in favor for WWE. That is a fair point.
Yeah.
I will give you that, Devin. Yeah, like, and I didn't hear that whole thing about Edge not wanting the group to go supernatural until after they beat him out. And even when I did, I thought, like, why not? Could you imagine that Judgment Day intro with the demon?
That would have been awesome.
Like, this is epic shit.
Maybe the demon possessed the other two members.
Right?
That
I don't want
would
to
be
say
hysterical.
I don't want to say what Vince normally says, but this would be some epic shit to see, like the Judgment Day, like the wings and the spooky lights and the smoke, and then the demon
All
comes
the
out.
spooky
He's just
shit.
crawling on
Like
the floor while they're walking. Like,
I know, dude lost a little bit of shine after Extreme Rules, but that's the way you get it back. And so, like, why Edge wouldn't want something like that associated to the faction just blows my mind.
yeah.
But I think, as weird as it is, I feel like Judgment Day could still be good. I feel like they could still salvage some stuff out of Edge, but as far as I'm concerned, Mike's right. Like, there were plenty of guys, whether it be AJ, Kevin Owens, Bobby Lashley, that they could have made that top face and kept this together.
Yeah.
It just feels like as easily and as much as AEW will put a faction together, WWE will rip one apart. See the Hurt Business. They were the hottest fucking thing on that show, and then all of a sudden they were just done. And why?
Which is very disappointing because they were so great.
Yeah, it would make sense if Liv joined them next, but even she's had so many problems with Rhea that it's like it's kind of the female version of like AJ and Edge at that point, Jay.
Yeah,
you know,
that shit wouldn't make any sense.
After all this shit you pulled on me, you want me to come and join? No,
that shit don't make no sense.
Like, I always say the storylines where it's like you'll beat my ass for like 6 weeks in a row, but then it comes out it's all a plan. I always was a part of it. Like, shit don't make sense. Like, if I'm a part of the group, don't touch me. Like,
right? Like, I appreciate this whole Judgment Day thing because they kind of brought like the original AJ out of hibernation. Like, he was like, we didn't see the Barbecue Dads Club AJ. We didn't see the Omos is my really big little brother AJ. We saw like glimpses of the champ that runs the camp. So I appreciate that. Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of like you can call it Bullet Club Light. I was calling it the BB Club. Like, yeah, you got Finn and AJ together, but then Liv's throwing up 2 sweets, and I'm just like,
yeah,
I'm done. Fuck that.
The Bullet Club name and the whole 2 sweet to begin with. So yeah, when you have Liv Morgan throwing it up, it's like, all right. Okay, cool.
It's like, okay, really?
Yeah.
Like, you have never, ever been to say, really, you're going to get in on this? Like, I understand.
I'm a big Liv Morgan fan, but it's just like, you're not Bullet Club. Stop it.
Yeah, no. No,
you can put those tweets. Put it down. Put it down.
You just stand there and they throw up the 2 sweet because they were both leaders of the Bullet Club at one point or another. Yeah. You have no ties whatsoever. Like, I would much sooner. I would much sooner see like Dirty Doc Gallows' wife come out and put that 2 sweet in than Liv Morgan. You know, at least she was in it.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think we covered the shit out of that. I guess it's time to jump back in, and we can try a few more days. Let's try to jump ahead to Wednesday this time. Let's get the flux capacitor fired up. There we go. Who gives a shit if this thing is like 40 years old? It works like clockwork, baby.
Exactly. It's a little slower, but we're good.
Mike has completely restored this bad boy. I'm loving the shit out of it. So obviously, Dynamite, we had the fallout from CM Punk's injury that, I got to be honest, guys. I don't know, maybe it was MJF. Maybe it was the clip we played last week of after the cameras cut away and Punk walking out with the 1 boot or whatever. But like, I maybe I'm just delusional. I did not notice CM Punk was hurt. I had no clue. Yeah. And then all of a sudden Friday found out you know, he's injured and this is what we're going to do and so on and so forth. And so obviously we get to Wednesday and we got the fallout. Like we're going to have the casino battle royal, which I don't know about you guys, but I am a fucking fan of. Like I
am too.
love that. Like, oh, we're not going to bring everybody out to the ring at once, and we're not going to do like the typical Royal Rumble like 2-minute countdown. We're going to bring out like suit after suit after suit, then the Joker, and then we're going.
It's
I
different.
think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's different.
I enjoy it.
You know, everybody says, "Where's the alternative?" There's your alternative. That's in part, not all the time, but there's your alternative.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I mean, the battle royal was good enough. I was not exactly. Was I the only one that wasn't ready for Andrade as the Joker? Like I thought maybe MJF. I thought maybe Roosh, maybe a
I was
New
thinking
Japan
Roosh.
Yeah. And then we
Anybody
get
but him.
Elito.
Anybody but him.
I'm a big Andrade fan, but he could have came out with one of the 5. Like,
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Because
I was watching it with my younger brother, and when they announced the Joker, I was like, okay. And he was like, "What? Why are you so confused by this?" I'm like, "Because it's Andrade. Like, he could have come out at any other time. Like, it just didn't feel so special, I guess."
Like, oh, he's back from his honeymoon. Big deal. You know,
usually the Joker is like a debut or like a big return or a big name.
Yeah, like something thrilling and exciting.
Yeah.
This was
or this is how we get
anticlimactic.
MJF involved, and maybe we get a rematch with Mox, and who knows where we go from there. But like
that would have
when
been
El
a better
Idolo
route.
showed up, like I'm a fan. I said when he originally debuted, like or before it, when we heard he was going to debut, I was like, I don't want him to come alone. I want him to have like Roosh and Dragon Lee with his ass. I want Los Ingobernables in AEW.
I was saying the same thing. Yeah.
And so at Double or Nothing, when they played the video with Roosh, I was like, oh, we're almost there. And we're getting a Forbidden Door. We could get both factions. Like like Los Ingobernables and then De Japan, like meeting at the same pay-per-view. So like that's something to look forward to. You know, but it was just very, anticlimactic. Now, I will say it was cool that Kyle O'Reilly won it. Am I alone in that vote?
Yes.
No, I agree.
Okay.
Because I wanted him to win it. I even said on the podcast after Double or Nothing, you got a clean victory over Jungle Boy. You have a clean victory over Darby Allin. Like, he's next up to get a singles title shot. So it made sense that he would get a singles title shot. So I definitely was a fan of that.
Absolutely. No, the same page right here. I don't know if it's the ECW fan or what, but
maybe we connect. Yeah,
I was the same way. Like Kyle O'Reilly has had some huge wins in singles matches, including Darby at Double or Nothing. So when they got down to the final 4, I honestly sat there and thought, okay, if Wheeler Yuta or Kyle O'Reilly win this match, I'm not mad.
Yeah,
because like Kyle O'Reilly's been hot. Wheeler Yuta has been. Yes, I know I'm a little biased. He's a Philly guy. I get it. But at the same time, he has been hot since joining the Combat Club. I mean,
and he got the pop of the night when he came out.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Oh, my God. When he came back, he got like an awesome pop. And I was like, oh, my heart. Oh, you don't know. Those first few months he was in AEW with Best Friends, I had to do a lot of explaining. Like, this is not weird. Like, I've been watching this guy for a while. He was not trained by Potato. He was trained by Taka Michinoku. There's a difference.
I appreciate that.
And now you're finally starting to see that. And I'm just sitting here like, see, I told you.
It's great to see. He's definitely, in my opinion, the breakout star in AEW this year.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
1,000%.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a breakout star at AEW. And if we can get ROH up and running somewhere again, he's going to be a huge part of that. So I'm very excited. But Jay actually stumbled across the because we're talking about the tournament. He actually stumbled across a question I had for you guys, which was he doesn't understand the interim championship thing. So I'm going to be a gentleman. We're going to let Grandma go first. Are you okay with the interim championship, or should they just have stripped Punk? I know what you want to say because you hate Punk, but let's try to keep it.
No, it's not even because I don't like him and I think he's an overrated, bloated bag of shit. But
no, not at all.
No, it's not. This is not my reasoning for it. I just think, just strip him. Just you have so much in-home talent that could compete for this anyways. So why go for the interim and then be like, oh, we're going to unify? It didn't make sense when you did it with the TNT title. It's not going to make sense with this. Just take it from Punk. Have a tourney if you have to have a tourney. Do another battle royale. I don't know. Put it on do a ladder bet. Do whatever the fuck it is you have to do. But just don't do interim. there's no point for it. It feels
Yeah.
excessive and dumb.
Okay. Money Mike, what do you think? Cute, like interim
I
title,
think-
a good way to go, or strip?
I think it all depends on how long he was going to be out for the injury. And it wasn't until Dynamite where they announced that like he had a successful surgery. So if it was a thing like, oh, he's going to be out for a month, then it's like, all right, yeah, let him keep the title and then we'll figure it out. But if it's like, oh, you're going to be out like 3-4 months, then yeah, definitely. Why would you hold up your title like that? And we've seen AEW do this in the past with the TNT title for like even shorter time. So I think that it's only showing that CM Punk may be back a lot sooner than we think.
Yeah,
So I'm
Yeah, that
hoping
could be.
if he's going to be back,
I'm hoping.
like, yeah, if he's back by like next month or something, like I don't see it being that big of a deal if he kept the title, because we've seen times where champions didn't defend the title in the month and they didn't get stripped for it. So if he is going to be back sooner, then why not?
Right, like
Like, if he's going to be back sooner, it still doesn't make sense to me to have an interim champion, though. Like, if you expect him to return, then just, give him time to heal and push, I don't know, something for the number one contender to happen or something instead
Yeah.
of this weird interim. Why do we need an interim?
Well, I feel like the
You know
only
what?
reason why they're doing this was because they want, and they marketed Forbidden Door to have two world title matches on there, an IWGP title match and a AEW title match. If
Right.
you lose your AEW title match, then it basically becomes a New Japan show if the only world title being defended is IWGP. So I feel
They
like
could
it
have
was
done
like
it
their way
any
of
other
trying to
way,
get
though. They
it.
could have done it a different way. They
I
didn't
know,
have
I mean,
to
I
use
agree.
interim.
Yeah, it does. I'm trying to not say it, but like it's obvious to stroke Punk's ego. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I'm a Punk fan.
obvious.
I'm a Punk fan, but Tony
Nah,
Khan has to.
I'm kind of impartial on Punk at this point. Like I like him because my son loves him. That was the guy that got him into wrestling when he was a very little psycho, and so I'll always have some fondness towards him. But one man that's fond of him is Tony Khan, and I feel like if he's not willing to strip Punk, then like you said, maybe it's because he sees the writing on the wall and says like, well, Punk's not going to be here for Forbidden Door, but maybe after he's able to come back, I know they successfully did whatever they had to do with him. I think he might have had a small surgery, and I haven't seen the recovery time yet. But if he's willing, if he's ready and able, in a flash, then it makes total sense. If anything, I just look at AEW trying to keep some kind of consistency because they went back, go again to Cody, and he was supposed to defend his title, and he got COVID. So they stripped him. They made Sammy the interim champ. Then they had the old Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon ladder match with both belts, and they tore the house down, and Sammy won. And then we know what happened from there.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're in a similar situation. They're trying to respond a similar way. At least it's consistency. I don't know if I agree with it, but at least they're like, okay, when something happens, this is what we do, and then we move forward.
Yeah,
and it could be a situation where whoever wins this title, because I said it from the very beginning, like nothing against the match with Mox and O'Reilly, but I knew Mox was winning. That match was amazing. But I knew Mox was winning because he had called Tanahashi out back at what,
2 years
All
ago.
Out?
Yeah,
like leading into All Out before Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson debuted. Like he said there's an open contract for New Japan and I want you, Tanahashi. And then I think Kojima showed up instead.
yeah.
And had
Even
a match
before
with
that
him.
though, after the match he had with Yuji Nagata, he was calling out Tanahashi. So
That too.
it goes back further.
So he's been trying to get this man to come through a door, and the man coined the phrase, and now he's finally doing it. So of course we're gonna get Mox and Tanahashi, and I think we're gonna end up. With Mox being the first 2-time champ. But imagine if, because the original match was Tanahashi and CM Punk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine, just hypothetically, we'll do a top rope what if, kind of like Marvel's. What if Tanahashi wins this belt, and now we've got a unification match between the Ace and CM Punk somewhere in the near future?
Yeah,
That'd
I
be
think that'd
interesting
be
to see.
yeah. And I know Tanahashi said that he wants the match with Punk regardless, and he said if it's not here, then maybe Wrestle Kingdom.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I think that would be a shocker. It'll be a good surprise for the pay-per-view too.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
true. That's true. And no, Nick, that obviously Brucey is on vacation. Since you were so we got Mike from the Wrestling Delorean. Have another drink, buddy.
Don't lie to him, Dom. Bruce just shaved his face. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's what Bruce looks like
it's
without
just
the
a-
majestic
the
beard and the
veins-
Burberry
veins all
scarf. You didn't know? Oh, Ivan. I love this
Hey.
man.
Ivan!
Of
Shout
course,
out to
of
the
course,
big-
the league is in the house killing it, man. That's what we do, and it's all
Yeah, man.
because of you, man. You let us in. Thank you, bro. You know we
Thank
love
you
you.
so much for everything. It's family.
I loved you before you let me in, man. No lie. That was one of the things that at least Mike and I were talking about before we got on the show. Was like we were fans of the people in this league, and then all of a sudden they want us, and you're like, really?
Yeah.
I love you guys. You have no business wanting me. You want me to be on a show with you?
When I was
No.
invited in, I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I made a mistake." Like,
Yeah, exactly. I
Who
did.
hired
I
Mike?
did a show originally because I had known Devin and I'd gone on Clark Street a lot. When he brought me on one night, Ivan was there and we did a show together and we clicked. And the next thing you know, Ivan is telling Devin like put him in the league, and I was like, no, you're lying, bullshit. And the next thing you know, I'm in it and they're asking me to come on. I'm like, are you high?
yeah, once you're in the league, it's like your graduation as a podcaster.
Although Nick might be half right. It was mainly because of grandma.
Shush off.
And he loves your shirt too.
Yeah, it's
Grandma.
my Rocco looks like he's waving too. Where's his hand?
She's always wearing Rocco's Modern Life. It's like
I love Rocco, man. Rocco was the
Lots of shows.
best. Such a
My
great
wife is insanely jealous. That's all I'm saying. Grandma costs me money every time we record one of these shows. I want that shirt too. Fuck. Wow, it took this long to derail. Almost an hour. That's a new
almost
record.
an hour. We usually
It's
do this
gotta
a lot
be.
sooner.
It's gotta be. But going back to what I said, like, yeah, if we get this match that was supposed to happen at Forbidden Door, but now it's a title unification match. And imagine if it takes place somewhere, like, it doesn't even have to be an AEW pay-per-view. Imagine if this is at Wrestle Kingdom or some shit.
Oh fuck, that's gonna be amazing.
Like, that
For
just
sure.
makes the stakes even higher. You know, CM Punk going back to Japan to Tanahashi's home field advantage, trying to unify a title that isn't even New Japan's.
That would be awesome.
I mean, that's some huge stakes.
Yeah. And we've seen other wrestling companies' titles get defended in New Japan. We were saying on the Circle of Debate how we've seen the Ring of Honor title defended on Wrestle Kingdom. We've seen the TNA champion defended at Wrestle Kingdom. So it'll be really awesome to see AEW in that mix as well.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. I was thinking the same thing too. See, I love this guy. We're always like right here.
Yeah.
And Jay, we love doing these shows for guys like you.
100%.
So thank you so much. You know, keep watching. We'll keep killing it as much as we can for our fans like you and Brian, and the list goes on. I had to take the time because I love compliments like that. That's especially for
100%,
me.
yeah.
I
All right, that's
don't
why
know
we
if
do it.
You
Yeah.
can look at me and think he don't get a lot of compliments, and you would be right.
No, but that's why we do it, though.
But that's why we do it. At the same time, that's why we do it. But that was not all that took place. Like, yeah, Mox and Kyle O'Reilly. I mean, that match.
Hard
It was
hitting
a
yourself.
war.
That was a good ass match. Yeah.
It was a flat out war. Like, that practically felt like a New Japan match on TNT.
Yep.
So,
100%.
so they're just getting you ready for Forbidden Door with that type of stuff, and I love it. But we had so much more happen in that one show. Like, we saw, and you probably saw in the background behind us, they debuted the All Atlantic Championship and started the title tournament. Now, again, first round match, like Buddy and Pac, again, off the charts. Like,
Great match.
how did this not happen in WWE as like an extended rivalry? But that's, I guess, like timing didn't, like he didn't get to 205 till Pac had long left, and so okay, maybe I answered my own question. My bad. but the biggest question after the fact when this title was announced and shown was like, why the hell did they name it All Atlantic?
It don't make sense.
You had so many people. I think even Mike was on Circle of Debate and they brought this up. Like, you've got Japan Japan is in the Pacific. Like, like, why is it all the Atlantic and you're bringing in New Japan?
They like alliterations, I guess.
I guess. I mean, still,
Yeah,
it
I mean-
really makes sense.
So
It'd be
I'm
consonants,
sure.
but
I know he probably answered this already, but he answered it on another show. So I'm gonna let Mike kick this off. What are your thoughts on the name All Atlantic Championship?
I hate the name. I like the concept. The concept
Yes.
of the belt being defended in other companies around the world and maybe seen in AEW, maybe seen in other companies, international talents coming in and out fighting for that belt. I think that that's a great concept. But yeah, the name really doesn't make too much sense, especially if you look at the flags that's on there. It's like, what? I know a lot of people were upset that they didn't announce trios titles. I was one of those people at first. I wanted trios titles because there's a bunch of trios in AEW.
oh yeah,
But I was saying on the Circle of Debate, and I'll say it here too, I think that it's smart that they didn't do the trios titles just because Ring of Honor is now under Tony Khan's banner. Tony Khan keeps saying that Ring of Honor is going to have its own identity. Ring of Honor has trios titles. So if you have trios
True,
titles
okay,
on
yeah.
AEW, you know, it's kind of like
Yeah.
taking away some of the uniqueness of the Ring of Honor show when it eventually comes. You could have, it would be like killing two birds with one stone. You have trios titles in Ring of Honor, and then you have AEW trios going to Ring of Honor to fight for those trios titles, and now the Ring of Honor show gets more elevated because you have AEW talent on that show as well. So I'm okay with them not introducing trios titles. I also was saying we don't know exactly what's going to happen with the whole Discovery and Warner merger. So say, for example, in the future, God forbid, AEW gets taken off of Turner, right? They're no longer on TNT or TBS. Kind of have to save face because you have a TBS and a TNT title. Now, if you are going to be on a different network, that won't make so much sense. Here,
Right.
you could kind of merge the two titles, and then this could be your secondary title instead of having to like introduce a new title in the future.
Okay.
So you
So
have
it's
a
kind of like covering your own ass in case
it's a
something goes
contingency
wrong.
just in case.
That
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah. And that'd be another ROH on like Discovery Plus. Make it so.
Yeah,
I got that, so make it so.
yeah, I do.
Sort of an impact on access. Who the fuck has access?
Right? Like I know they'll let you pay like
I
99
have it.
cents to watch it.
Yeah,
on
that's why I got the
YouTube
YouTube thing
and
because I never had access.
I'm
The
honestly
only
thinking
reason I
about
have it is
dropping-
because I use Sling to watch TV instead of cable, and it's one of those
Okay.
random channels on there.
Yeah,
and
I don't
like,
have it either. So
And all they play is like stuff about music, just music shows, and
Yeah.
so I'm
and
like, why
random
access?
MMA companies, like not UFC, not Bellator, like the
No,
really second rate,
Real, like,
great
numbers,
value MMA.
Yeah,
stuff.
like random.
But
it's weird.
go back to that. I get what you're saying, Mike, but at the same time, like it makes sense. But then when you look at like the landscape of AEW right now, like Jurassic Express, they're they're AEW tag champs, and maybe that's getting stale, maybe it's not. That's neither here nor there. But those ROH tag titles are working really well for FTR. So I feel like even if you created trios titles in AEW, you're not really taking the shine off of ROH because look at the tag division. Like AEW's tag division is the biggest one in the States by far. And so when you have that much talent and you bring those two belts over, it doesn't really feel like you're causing any problems. If anything, you came up with a solution. Like Jurassic Express can hold these belts because there's FTR and they've got another set. You have so many at least 3-person factions in AEW before you add anyone from ROH to that mix.
Yeah.
That if you did make trios titles and then you turned around and brought the ROH ones back, it would feel the same way as the tag division to me. Now, as far as the All Atlantic Championship, I love the belt. I love the tournament. I don't love the name. AEW seems to be more concerned with what, and I don't know any other term to say this, so I'm just going to say it, WWE fanboys are going to say on social media. So they don't want to call it an Intercontinental Championship, which is what it is.
Yeah.
So they just come up with another name, and the name is nonsensical. Let me ask you something. I know eventually they unified it and they got rid of it, but did New Japan give a shit about naming an Intercontinental Champion or having an Intercontinental belt? No fucks given, and it worked for them, right?
Yeah.
This is New Japan. New Japan gives no fucks. Be more like New Japan. Call it the AEW Intercontinental Championship, and then you can put Japan in there. You can put all the countries in there, and it makes perfect sense.
Or even this, if the concept of the title is it's going to be international, what's wrong with the international championship?
That too. That
It's
is
pretty simple, cut and dry. Like,
or you could just call the international championship. I don't know, the Seven Seas championship.
Yeah.
Something that would make more sense than Atlantic, and you have Pacific Coast countries in it.
yeah.
Like Tony, what are you on?
Lots of cocaine.
I don't want any. I've been clean for over 20 years, but what do you want? Like all Atlantic, Japan's in it.
That don't make
Immediately
no sense.
makes no. But since Japan is in it, I'm gonna try to spin this because I don't like the title name. I love the tournament. I love the first round match. If I had to call it right now, I want to see the Redeemer get his redemption. Hold that title, and everything is good now. And Ivan is laughing with me, or laughing at me and saying, "Yeah, I agree. I said it on Thursday. I know. I watched, and I was like, damn it! I hate that you come on a day before me, homie, because we're also like this." So, but obviously, like we said, Japan is in it, and they have a spot in the bracket. They have not named who will be taking those spots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we've already jumped back in time. Let's look ahead to the future, shall we? Mike, who do you think will be representing New Japan in this tournament? Like both sides, like who versus who?
I mean, it's tough to name two. I think that I think it would be cool to have someone like Naito.
Yeah.
So if you have like Naito, if you think about like it's pretty predictable, we're going to see Miro beat Ethan Page, right?
Right.
We're probably going to see Malachi beat Penta.
Yeah,
now, if you think of the matchup, Pac versus Miro versus Naito versus Malachi, that is a monstrous four-way. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of maybe who else. Haruki Goto, if he doesn't beat Tanahashi tonight on Dominion, which definitely people don't forget about Dominion. I saw Ivan put that in the chat too. I'm gonna be up all night. So yeah, I mean, I don't know who else. Like there's a plethora of people you could put in that spot, but I would definitely like to see Naito involved somehow and have Naito fight for a title. I mean, he's a top guy in New Japan, and you're only going to be doing a service to Naito if you put Naito in a title match at Forbidden Door.
Right.
Suzuki versus Evil is also a good choice.
I was gonna say Big Mike. That is an excellent choice right there. Suzuki versus Evil. Fuck.
My only thing about that would be is since it's supposed to be like I guess like two surprise like who's going to be representing New Japan. I love Minoru Suzuki. I just wouldn't want it to be anybody we've already seen in AEW.
Okay.
Just to keep it like fresh.
See, I was thinking let's tie this into people who have. Let's at least tie this into one side. Like one side has to be somebody that we've seen in AEW already, and we're starting to get Los Ingobernables in AEW. So Naito was one of my guys, but I had Naito against Jay White, and we just have like faction fuckery on the outside. Like it doesn't cause anything to have. It doesn't change the outcome of the match, but you have maybe the Undisputed Elite rundown. All of a sudden, here comes like Roosh and Dragon Lee, and they're getting in it. El Idolo's out, he's getting in it, and we just get like an amazing match and an amazing faction war that we kind of have a little New Japan, a little AEW, maybe even a little AAA thrown in the mix, just to make like a nice stew.
Yeah,
like that would be fun for me. Grandma, who do you think will be on the New Japan bracket?
I mean, honestly, Suzuki would have been my first choice because it's he's been
Suzuki.
there, we've tried it. Yeah, like it's
Like it's Suzuki, say less.
Yeah. As for a fresh face, like I'm not even sure who it could be. Like honestly, I'm not even sure. Like
it could be anybody on that roster.
Yeah, exactly.
The big roster. Yeah.
That's what makes it so hard to just be like
even if it was just Suzuki taking on Ospreay, who debuted Friday. Like that match would be amazing.
Yeah.
There's so much that you could bring from New Japan and put in this match, and nobody's going to be mad about it.
Oh yeah, no. Mm-mm.
And by the way, I love the fact that we probably talk more about New Japan in this episode than we have
Whenever.
in 5 ever. Yeah, Osprey versus Naito. There's another like that
Yeah.
again.
That would be great. Yeah.
That's the beauty part. Is there are so many people for those 2 spots that like they literally can't fail. Now again, we will see when it happens. Maybe we will be back like, why the fuck did they get here? like the vampire chicken, really? Boom Boom in a New Japan role? No. How many companies does this man have to be for? He's with ROH, AEW, NWA, New Japan. Fuck that.
He's
Bring
everywhere.
somebody from Japan.
Yeah.
Now we time will tell. Again, it's another one of them wait for it moments, but I feel like this is one of those spots that you really can't fail in because there's so
Yeah.
many people you could put in those two open spaces. And
Yeah.
once you do, it's just like, yes, I'm here for this. And even if you put 2 like, okay, I'm here for this too. You know? Maybe they should have added more than one New Japan spot, but
Yeah.
and to the people that were saying like, oh, why did they bring other people in from other countries and just choose their AEW talent that's from here or there or wherever? If you are the same people who talk about AEW's bloated roster, stop. You answered your own question. If they have this bloated roster of international talent, now they have an international title. This part makes sense. All Atlantic doesn't, but taking the talent that you have sitting there and putting them in this tournament makes total fucking sense.
Yeah.
It's
Big Mike's still going. Suzuki versus Zack Sabre Jr. Yes.
Yeah.
Faction war. I'm good with that.
That would be awesome.
Suzuki Goon going, hey. Yes.
definitely want to see Zack Sabre Jr. in AEW. If not for this pay-per-view, hopefully soon.
I do too. I really do too. Like they brought Danny Garcia in, and I honestly, when he debuted, I wasn't quite sure who he was, and I didn't hear his name. So my first question was like, "Who is ZSJ Light?"
Yeah.
So like I would have been happier with that. But Danny's grown on me. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
just saying that
definitely been
first.
breaking down in his own way.
You know, he's been there a minute now. At first, I said this, but I've grown to like him.
When he was just 2.0's son, it was like, the fuck?
Yes, an international elite title. Perfect.
That sounds corny as fuck.
It sounds better than All Atlantic, though.
I
Yeah.
prefer All Atlantic though. I don't know why. I'm okay with the assonance of All Atlantic.
But
Assonance is when vowel letters all sound the same. So I'm not wrong saying assonance, all right? It does have the word ass in it, makes us giggle a little bit, but I'm not wrong.
It's got that alliteration. That's true. That's true.
And it just,
But,
I don't know,
like-
it has this like old school feel to it for some reason, like something you would see on NWA.
It looks like an old
Yeah.
school title too. The design is
It
real
does.
old school. Yeah.
Yeah.
it does. It kind of looks. It's like an old school title mixed kind of with the women's championship. If you look at it, like the new
Yeah,
one,
like
you're
that squarish
okay.
look. Yeah.
You blended some stuff together. You know, like the belt is beautiful.
Oh, it's
Just
gorgeous.
Not a
Yeah.
huge fan of the name. You know. And I know people, blamed us again for being like AEW marks. Like, no, I'll talk shit about them too.
Yeah.
I watch wrestling. Like, I'll talk shit. I'll praise whoever, wherever, whenever. That's why you tune in every week, not because I'm a fucking stan. Okay. All Atlantic sounds like a gas station.
International Elite title sounds corny as fuck, and it wouldn't have had like.
Oh
certain-
boy, here we go.
I
Maybe
just
Mike
feel
and I
like
should just go take a
International
piss
Elite
break and let them
title-
fight.
I feel like IET would have been. I don't know. It just wouldn't have the panache that it does. You know, it sounds corny. And why does it have to be elite? Like the world champion title
Again,
isn't like the world elite
I'm
title. It's just
I'm gonna say, do you?
could
I
have just
like
left it
that
at
name, but-
international title if you really want it international.
That too. I'm not going to argue that, especially if
Or
it
like
gets
you
us out of
said,
this.
like stop giving a fuck and just call it the Intercontinental because we all know what it is.
Yeah,
Right.
pretty much.
So I already gave my prediction. Grandma, who do you think ends up becoming the first AEW not Intercontinental champion? Which would have been a better name too.
I feel
The
like it's
AEW
too
not
early.
Intercontinental.
The not IC title. The NIC. I feel like it's a little too early for me to predict that because I don't know what the rest of the bracket looks like. With what we have though, it would be fun to see Miro,
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
the Redeemer. Yeah. But I'll
His-
hold my predictions till I get a little closer.
Like we went full on Mark talking about his return for like that moment. We weren't even supposed to talk about it, but I brought it up, and everybody on the show just went Flanders. Just, so between the promos he's been cutting, the matches he's been having, if he gets his redemption by holding up another title now that his neck is fixed, feels right.
It does, yeah.
Let's see. My man, Mr. De Niro, who do you think is going to win
I'm
this
so
tournament?
tossed up though, because as much as I'm a Miro fan, and I'm a huge Miro fan, I
Us
also
too.
think Pac should have been holding a singles title for a while in AEW.
Oh yeah, he's long
so
overdue.
consistent since day one.
Yeah.
Also, like I'm a big Malachi Black fan. I mean, not saying like I'm predicting he's going to win, but it could be Penta. Who knows? But all I know is like I think Malachi needs a singles title, so it could go any way. I would just think that would be a cool moment to have Pac hold a singles title in AEW
Yeah.
or any title. He hasn't won any title.
It honestly felt like Pac was on his way there going into pandemic, and then everything just came to a screeching halt.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because if you remember, he was the first guy to beat Kenny Omega.
Mm-hmm.
And Omega went on to be all this, and then Pac is
Mhm.
stranded in his home country in the pandemic, and it's like, all right, well, he's back now. Yeah, but then he missed a pay-per-view again. We had to cancel that El Idolo match. Okay, it happens.
It happens. Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't move forward with the dude, but that just kind of killed all of his momentum. And I do like nothing against Death Triangle. I feel like if you looked at the carton of Death Triangle, the expiration date has long passed.
Yeah.
Like Penta and Phoenix already won the tag titles. Pac is going everywhere he could go with this group. Like, I'm not saying they got to swerve one another, but if it's got to be, it's got to be. It's just time to kind of like let these guys go their separate ways.
Yeah.
Get Lucha Bros back in the title picture. Get Pac into some title picture down the line, whether it be TNT, maybe contending for this not Intercontinental title, even putting him in the AEW title picture.
You can never go wrong with someone like Pac wrestling for a title. He's so talented. So
he fits everywhere, I mean,
but also, like you said, like I definitely wouldn't mind Miro because I didn't want Miro's TNT title reign to end the way it did.
No,
me neither. Me neither. That was sad for me, especially when they started incorporating like Fuego into the storyline.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys, I got a new Hyundai. I was like, man, get the fuck out of here with
Right.
Hyundai. Like, I'm good for you. Go home. Like that felt awful.
It didn't elevate him. He hasn't been on AEW since. Well, Dynamite at least.
Yeah, no, he's taken over Scorpio Sky's old role as like the King of Dark.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
You hope he wins the All Atlantic title. Who Devious won? Miro? Because we were talking about him, but I don't know if because you just said I hope he wins, and we brought up a few other guys.
I have to admit, I'm kind of like ignorant as fuck because I didn't pay attention to the full bracket, and they're all named there. But yeah. But honestly, well, except for New Japan, but looking at it, it's either Pac or Miro for me.
Yeah, and it's hard for me to call it because there are so many guys in this tournament that are like that I have so much love for. Like I am a huge Penta mark, hence why I'm the master of none. I just flipped. Like I love that dude. Malachi Black is amazing. Miro, I have loved since WWE. Pac. I mean, it's like. I looked at this tournament bracket and I said, don't make me choose. Oh, you were talking about Pac. Okay. Yeah, it would have been nice. I mean, but he and Buddy did tear the house down, and that just leaves more room for the Redeemers. So maybe it's beneath him. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to be the not Intercontinental Champion. Maybe he wants something else. Like maybe he goes after Sky next or something. Again, I hate to say wait for it, but that's where we're at.
Very much, yeah.
All right, so we've pretty much covered everything: Dynamite, Raw, the whole nine. We figured out that this flux capacitor that Mike rebuilt and the plutonium that Wendy and I managed to
acquire
is good. Acquire, that's another good word. Now we're really going to test it. We're really going to test it because we're going to go back. We're going to go back to the dawn of the 21st century, y'all. Let's fire this bitch up.
Oh boy. Crank it up.
I'm excited because I get to be like 21 all over again. It's amazing. I can still drink. And it's a good thing Mike's driving this DeLorean because I can drink and
Hey,
shit.
don't have me designated right now.
So we're gonna go back. Well, I was 22. Let's be real. To 2001 after ECW had folded, and we're maybe gonna change a little history. It just depends on how these questions are answered. Obviously, we know how ECW folded. We know that WWE bought them out, and from there we had invasion angles like WCW. We had all this. So it was leading into One Night Stand and something that looked like maybe the Extreme would come back. And then when they rebooted it, it was like, this is not it.
It was trash.
No, you could have stopped at One Night Stand, man.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
what the fuck? There's a mummy getting caned. What the fuck? Is that the Yeti? He shrunk after all these
Yeti.
years. Like, it was just it was bad. I mean,
Yeah.
even MVP said something in that diss track about Bobby holding the bullshit
Oh my
ECW
God,
title.
Yeah, I heard
and-
that. I peeped that on
and-
Mhm.
the other day.
yeah, like even then I was like, you know what? You're not wrong, homie. You're not wrong. So my question is, should going back to 2001 when they did buy this and maybe somewhere in between that and One Night Stand, we always see like, you know, going into WrestleMania, the WWE Hall of Fame class being announced. Should they have started? I don't even want to call it an Extreme Hall of Fame. I think we should just call it. We should just name it after, you know, the training facility and Tommy's promotion. Should they have started a Hall of Hardcore for ECW and inducted people like, let's say, going into ECW One Night Stands and left the reboot behind? Just like, we'll do this once a year. We'll induct some people and then we'll come back. Grandma, what do you think of that whole concept?
I think yes. I think they definitely should have had a Hall of Hardcore, or should. I mean, it's never too late for that. I mean, you may reach a point where you're like, okay, so we've inducted everybody. Where do we go from here? But it would be, well, to be fair, Mike, there's plenty of dead people in WWE's Hall of Fame anyway. So, but
yeah, and they were alive back then, most of them.
Yeah,
most.
Exactly. Most recently, Vader was inducted. QPD, big man. You know. But I think definitely it would be a great tribute to a company that provided so much to so many fans, and was like, in a sense, a bit of a gate opener, because at that time there wasn't a lot of like hardcore stuff on TV. They were one of the predecessors of it, so you know, if you wanted something like that, you would have to go to Japan, like you know.
Yeah, exactly. Because yes, I'm aware like ECW was looking at FMW and went, we can do that, but at the same time, it was cool. And I'm not even going to go into all the stuff that came after ECW came along and somebody watched it, whether it was Vince, Eric Bischoff, whoever the fuck. Because I've done that ad nauseum. And I don't know if anybody other than my man Mike wants to hear that shit again.
I mean,
so I'm gonna go to my man Mike and ask the same question. Should they have just gone with the House of Hard or the Hall of Hardcore and kept to the One Night Stands and inducted guys going into the pay-per-view?
I mean, in hindsight, yeah, because we saw how the reboot. Like I remember, I was 12 years old when ECW was rebooted. I was a big fan, even as a child of the original ECW, because my father was. So I would, you know, on the school night, my dad would be like, "All right, Raw and Nitro," because it was on Monday. Right?
Yeah.
So it was like, "Oh, Raw and Nitro, cool." And then it's like, "Hey, you want to stay up a little bit?" I was like, "Why?" There's something that comes on at 1 o'clock in the morning. I want you to sleep.
Don't ask why, just stay up.
Yeah, so
right.
And then after that, like I was hooked. And then the nights I couldn't, you know, he would throw in the VHS tape, and my mom and my dad would record ECW for me. So, and then I'll go to school and be like, everyone's like, "Oh, did you see Undertaker versus Kane?" I'm like, "Did you see Taz versus Shane Douglas?" They're like, "Who the fuck is that?" And I'm like, all right, never mind. But
Never mind, my bad.
I was a huge ECW fan. So I was really, really excited when they were going to come back, especially like I was still like a child. So I didn't really realize, I didn't know, does this mean Paul Heyman has full reigns over it? Like, now in hindsight, of course, like we saw how it was like a big dumpster fire. It was just a big
Oh
fail.
God,
So
that's an
I think
understatement.
that it would have been better if they just honored the athletes, the people who put their bodies on the line in ECW, made it what it was, then Bastardized the name of it. So
Yep.
yeah, I totally think that they should have just went with the Hall of Hardcore, which, by the way, is a great name, and you might want to trademark
Isn't
that
it?
before Tommy Dreamer.
Thank you. I'm gonna have to put a copyright on that bad boy.
Because somebody's gonna watch this, and Tommy Dreamer's gonna be like, "All right, you know what? House of Hardcore is not running anymore, but the Hall of Hardcore."
The Hall of Hardcore. Notes.
And
notes.
maybe I get in touch with Tommy and we talk about this. We can find a spot in Philly, come up with the Hall of
Exactly.
Hardcore, you know, put some inductees in.
Right by the
you
Rocky
know.
statue or something. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. You know, it doesn't have to be a huge building. We
I mean,
can even put a little spot in like the 2300 arena.
I was
and
gonna
just
say,
have the
like,
Hall
if you
of
did like a
Hardcore.
yearly like pop up shop in the 2300 arena and like have like the Hall of Hardcore, that would be dope. And I'm
Yeah.
sure
That would
would
be
cause-
awesome.
That would be
And
a
with
big like,
W-
convention. Yeah.
And not only that, with WWE's resources and like that fucking warehouse that they have and everything else,
Oh,
like I don't know
Jesus.
if any of you guys ever watched like WWE's Lost Treasures when it was
Yeah.
on A&E, but they have so much shit. Like they could have just found a little spot in Philly, packed it with stuff from their warehouse, inducted some people, you know, going into One Night Stand, have a One Night Stand in the 2300 arena, made a killing. And rolled out, and then waited till next year to make a killing again, because you know that Philly crowd would have been into it. And
Fuck
Mike,
yeah.
I know you're absolutely right. I remember going to an Eastern Championship Wrestling show when I was like, I think I was like 14, and it was just this weird hodgepodge of like old NWA wrestlers, like Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert and Kamala, or no, Abdullah the Butcher and Kevin
yeah.
Sullivan and
Don Morocco, I
and-
believe, was a part of it at one point,
yeah,
right?
like none of it made any sense, and nobody came back the following week. And that's where like the Tasmaniac came from, and that was a horrible fucking gimmick with some horrible fucking Soul Glow hair. If anybody doesn't remember, I mean, it was wild. And then all of a sudden, like 95 came along, and Extreme Championship Wrestling came by, and it was like, oh yes, this is what we need now. This is Philly right here. I don't know what the fuck that shit was Nashville. This is Philly.
100%.
Don Morocco versus Snuka all over again. Yes. I'm pretty sure they did have that, didn't they? Jesus fucker. It wasn't even in the cage either. Like, what was the fucking point? Oh, we had time to fill. Anyway, I'm sorry. Get back to it. Of course, I would have rather have seen this, because you did have a lot of the talent back in the day where you could do the one night stands. I mean,
Yeah.
I went to the Hammerstein Ballroom when RVD was fighting Cena. That crowd, whoo, I was afraid for John Cena. Like, I didn't like him very much, but at the same time, I was afraid for that man's life. Like,
You didn't want to see him get hurt.
Oh my God, yeah.
you know, if you hold this title at the end of the night, you are fucking dead. Like,
And
they're
we've
not going to
seen
be able to
Riot
show
in
the end of
ECW
this
before.
pay-per-view. I'm going to see it, but nobody else will.
Yeah. Like I said, we've seen riots by the ECW fans before, so it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. It wouldn't be, oh, he's drawing good heat. No, it's going to be like, oh, get security and get his ass out of there, because they're jumping the guardrail at this point.
Yep. Okay, so we all agree, which is great. So that leads me to my next question. If we're opening a Hall of Hardcore, then we've obviously got to come up with Hall of Hardcorers. I don't know.
Yeah.
We gotta come up with people to put in this hall. So I'm gonna be a gentleman. I'm gonna start with Grandma Wendy. If you had to add, I can't call him a superstar. If you had to add an ECW wrestler to the Hall of Hardcore, name the first person that comes to mind.
Sabu.
Yes, absolutely.
You can't open up this Hall of Hardcore and not put Sabu in there. Honestly, like
Yes.
that's like spitting in his face. Like, that's just fucked up. You can't just do that.
I'm condoning one night stands. As long as you're not married or you're not in a relationship, what's the fucking problem?
As long as you're
that,
safe
my
about
friends,
it.
was a shoot. But Sabu, absolutely. I mean, I know he had his little riff with Paulie over going to Japan. He bounced around a little bit to WCW and a few other places, but like,
But
He still
Sabu,
done
that
a lot for ECW. He did enough to be honored.
The man filleted his bicep in the middle of
Yeah.
a barbed wire match and
I
athletic
was like,
taped
take
it
me
up.
take me up, brother, put me back
And
in.
then
Like,
super
We
glued the
just
shit.
talked about
Fuck
Cody.
does
Cody's
that?
like torn bicep. This is a legit tear in the skin, and his bicep was coming out. And
Like, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
We're all talking about
see,
Cody and how he
if
gutted it out. What did Sabu do?
if Sabu made the comments that fucking Conan and shit made, I'd be like, the man knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you know,
that'd be different.
he's right. He's right. That shit was not a paper cut. But fucking Conan, I'm like, shut the fuck up. What do you?
Either way, K-Dog, shut the fuck up. But I know you were kind of an ECW original too, but shut the fuck up.
Maybe a cup of coffee. Yeah.
I have more love for you than most folks, but please, shh.
But please, shut the fuck up.
Do I need to go Gable on you, K-Dog? Shoosh!
To quote Cade, cut the bullshit.
Cut the shit, Conan. But yeah, Sabu is an absolute first balloter. I mean, you know, the words genocidal, homicidal, suicidal, they were not a gimmick. They were accurate.
They were, yeah.
So
legit.
yes, no, that is a great pick. All right, I'm gonna jump down to my fellow ECW Mark, my man Mike. Who is somebody that comes to mind? We've got one. Give us another ECW Hall of Hardcore like first balloter.
I'm thinking Ezekiel Jackson because he was the last holder of the EC. No, I'm joking.
I was just about to say, and he's booted.
That would make for an interesting moment.
No, I think for sure
Would be cool.
for the first class, for sure you have to put in Terry Funk because
Absolutely.
we were talking about like veterans that was in Eastern Championship Wrestling. There was no bigger veteran that did more for ECW than Terry Funk. He took a bunch of young wrestlers under his wing and made them stars. Tommy Dreamer was a bigger star because of Terry Funk. Terry Funk's feud with Sabu really built Sabu. Terry Funk's feud with Raven.
The first pay-per-view. You know, like he wins the title going off air. It was such a moment, and it just established ECW as a player at the time. Because you may not, like wrestling fans didn't have an easy time finding ECW. Even when you were in Philly, like, oh, it's coming on at 2 a.m. on Channel 48, you know, or the next week it's on at dinner time. You know, like it was never a set schedule. So there were a lot of people tuning into that pay-per-view for the first time that had watched wrestling, but had maybe not watched ECW. So there were a lot of guys on that show. Like, you don't know Sabu, you don't know RVD, you don't know a lot of these guys, but you know Terry Funk, and you know him well. I mean, this guy was a Hall of Famer before walking in.
Funk was a Hall of Famer in the 70s.
Terry Funk is like if you're a wrestling fan, Terry Funk is your uncle. He's like every wrestling fan's uncle. Like, fuck with Terry.
I remember when I met Terry Funk at House of Hardcore, like he acted like he knew me already. Like I was like, "Oh, thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate you being here."
Oh my
God! Like,
I love that voice. That voice is so amazing. He sounds so soft and sweet, and then he gets in the ring and he burns you with a fucking cattle prod, you know, or branding iron. I'm sorry, I was thinking I got him crossed up with the Mountie. I don't know how that happened. That's the mind of a psycho right there. But yeah, he had such a soft, sweet voice, and then he'd get in the ring and fucking kill you. Like, he's the reason Sabu had the bicep. You know?
Yeah.
He did so much. Like, this man is pulling moonsaults at the age of, like, mid-50s in an ECW ring into barbed wire. And you're like, Terry, no, why? But at the same time, you're like, wow. So yeah, that's I think Sabu and Terry Funk are definitely, like, I was gonna go Funk first, and Mike kind of stole a little bit of my thunder, but it's cool. It's cool. No, it's a great pick. Never apologize for Terry Funk in an ECW Hall of Hardcore. Though that man belongs. I'm gonna go since he said Terry Funk. I'm gonna go with a man who basically started ECW, and he started ECW by taking that sweet NWA title behind me and throwing it down. The man that probably cut the first pipe bomb in wrestling history. The man that was known as the franchise, the head of the Triple Threat. None other than Shane motherfucking Douglas.
Yes.
This man created Extreme. And not only that, he went to the Extreme. Like, he broke, what was it, Gary Hart's neck? Pitbull.
Oh, yeah, Gary Wolf. Yeah.
Gary Wolf.
Yeah.
Again, I'm fucking him up with world class. Mind of a Psycho. He broke this dude's neck, and then dude came out and confronted him. What did he do? Grab the halo, fucking shake it.
Nasty.
Like he was MJF before MJF. Can we be real for a minute? He did not give a shit how low he had to go or what he had to say to draw heat.
Yeah.
He was just there to draw fucking heat.
And can I just say something? The promo that MJF had, that whole pipe bomb, right? When he was like the mannerisms of it, and he was like, and they can't even lace my boots. Like that was 100% franchise Shane Douglas. Watch some of his like classic promos. He would get all rattled up like that, start shaking when he's talking. Like that was him channeling the franchise. Yeah. So I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, he's channeling Flair. I'm like, I don't see Flair in that. I see Shane Douglas in that 100%.
No, that was the other thing, man. The way he would call out Ric Flair week after week after week. And then I remember he got like Tully or some shit and destroyed Tully fucking Blanchard. And while he was holding Blanchard's head up while he's out cold, he's like, "What, Flair, where the fuck are you?" I was like, this guy. Like, this is the guy you want to be called your franchise. If you are living in Philly in the heyday of the Extreme, this is the guy you fucking want. And damn right, that's what we got so far. We got Sabu, we got Funk,
Shane,
and we got the franchise. Those are the first three. We ain't done. Those are the first three, and rightfully so, because I don't think any three men did more for ECW over the course of its Extreme history than those three. Now, I'm gonna just snake this, so I'm gonna give you one more. And I was not a huge fan of this guy, but when you look back on it, he was kind of important at the start of ECW because long before the FTW title, long before Taz was even Taz, ECW had a grand champion. And as weird and odd as it was, but as ECW as it was, that grand champion was Mikey fucking Whipwreck. Like, what? Have you seen this dude? He's like this tall. He's like this wide. He's got this weird coif. He looks like he's going to be delivering me pizza. He's won every title there is to win in ECW in the first 6 fucking months. Yep. That set the... Now, as much as you may not like the guy, because I never really had much for him. I mean, him and Tajiri were kind of badass with Sinister Minister, but I never really had much for him. That set the tone for ECW. When this guy is your first grand champion, not the franchise, not the Sandman, not Raven, not Mikey. I mean, even I remember his tag team run with Cactus Jack, and then he won the world title from Sandman, and that promo in the back, like, oh, and the Sandman wants a rematch, and you know what that means, Mikey? And Cactus puts the mic in front of him. He goes, and I'm gonna die. He likes it. Mikey likes it. It was as much as I didn't like the man, it was fucking gold. And it made you think, like, okay, this company, like we talk about, AEW is supposed to be the alternative. This company, there was no supposed to. Yeah. This company was the alternative. And a guy like Mikey Whipwreck being your first grand champion screamed it to the high heavens. So, no, I don't like him. But I'm going to put Mikey in as a first ballot Hall of Famer for that alone. And now we're going to go back to my man Mikey, because like we said, there's a lot of Mikes. We're going to go back to Mr. De Niro down here, and he's going to give you his next pick for the Hall of Hardcore.
This is going to get... I already had in my head, my first two is going to be Terry and Shane. But now it's like, all right, we're getting into the real thick of things here.
Yeah, now we're starting to dwindle down a little bit. But there were so many.
I know he's not a wrestler, Mikey. Right? I know he's not a wrestler, but I feel like, and there's so many wrestlers that I want to say, but before I don't know how many wrestlers you want to put in it, but before we miss out on saying this, I just want to say that I think that Joey Styles is first ballot Hall of Fame if you're going to ECW. ECW.
Absolutely.
The voice of ECW, the classic, oh my God, like that shit.
Oh God, yes.
In my opinion, I know a lot of people say Gordon Soley. A lot of people say Jim Ross. In my opinion, it's always going to be Joey Styles.
Like, this is a guy, and when you look around the wrestling landscape, even then, there were 2 and 3 man teams on Nitro and Raw. Joey did everything practically solo. Their first pay-per-view.
Including pay-per-views,
He did the entire 3-4 hour show by himself.
Yeah.
And it was riveting. And there are so many calls out there. I know JR and Hell in a Cell, Gordon Soley had the, his little thing with the suplex and all that shit. And that was cool.
Mhm.
But like the first time I heard,
There it is.
I went, that's it. That's the one.
I think I can tell you exactly which one that was from too. Was that when Tommy Dreamer threw Brian Lee off of the scaffold and he went through all the tables? Yeah.
Yes, it was. That's the exact moment, the scaffold match where Brian Lee goes, oh my God. Yeah, exactly, Brian. How many announcers besides Joey called matches, pay-per-views, entire television shows by themselves and did their own interviews?
Yeah.
Because, this didn't matter. You go to WWE, you got, back in the day, you got like Gorilla and Bobby, and then they go back to Mean Gene or Sean Mooney. There was this team. Joey did it all.
And even watching back now, like, because I'm watching weekly for the podcast, and I'm reliving all this because there was like a lot of stuff that I didn't see, of course, because when I started watching it was around like the 98 era, right? So like 97 being one of the best years, because I missed the first pay-per-view.
Yeah,
the
that
first
was my
pay-per-view
year,
I saw
man.
was the first pay-per-view I saw was the first pay-per-view of 98. It was Living Dangerously 98, right? So like going back to watch it now, it's crazy because he's alone, but never do you think, oh well, he's kind of missing a color guy, or oh, he's kind of missing the play-by-play. He was able to do play-by-play and color by himself, and he
do it all by himself.
Even when like Joel Gertner would come in, or like later on with Cyrus the Virus, aka Don Callis, you were like, why are these guys even here? Joey don't need them.
Exactly. Yeah, it was obvious that like they were forced by the network to put another announcer with Joey, and it sucks. Like even his run in the WWE, I thought was a very solid run. Like when he was the Raw commentator. And like I said, I was really young too. So when he left and he cut that pipe bomb promo on the last night too, like I was in tears. I was like, no, like this is like, because I didn't know ECW was going to come back. So I'm like, this might be the last time I ever hear Joey Styles again. And
like I was sad, but then I was happy for Joey to give him the big pipe bomb fuck you moment and leave. And then believe me, I was not young when that. Well, I was younger, but I was not young when that happened. And then they replaced him with like Mike fucking Goldberg from American Gladiators. I was like, how the fuck?
Mike Adams
shit about wrestling, and he didn't.
Now, we have to definitely have Chris from Circle of Debate on here too.
No,
sure.
I was gonna say I don't know about these guys, but I would love to do something like that, like have a top 5 with Chris about ECW.
Oh yeah,
like,
definitely.
Like, you just throw the ECW topic and I will come top 5. I'll give you a top 15. Like, here we go.
That's why I have to do it weekly on my podcast. Like, if I didn't do any other classic reviews on my podcast, I would have to keep the ECW one just because, like, that was my preferred company as a child. Like, I have to always show love to ECW.
And I got to go with Big Mike here. If Joey needed anybody to do color, the Brain. That would have been...
Yeah, I can only imagine.
That would have been
unbelievable.
Platinum.
Yeah. Like those two, oh my God. Like
Brain
Joey screaming, oh my God, and Bobby telling him, calm down, that ham and egger is going to be fine. Like, you know,
shut up,
like
nerd.
That, that shit. Oh, no. Okay, no, Joey Styles was definitely going into this hall no matter what. Because I'm sure if you didn't say it, I'm sure Grandma would. I'm sure I would have.
Yeah.
But now we're on to Grandma, and so far we have Sabu, Funk, the franchise, and Joey, and Mikey Whipwreck, of course. Who should we add next?
I'm torn between these two.
Just name one, and then you can come back to the other because you're going to get another pick right after this.
It's just two women that just did a lot. I'm going to go with the Queen of Extreme, Francine.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. I was so jealous that she did a plug for Wrestling Delorean. I was like, this is
she's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, she is pretty cool. Yeah. Like I got to meet her after a couple of shows, and she was very cool. But like smartphones didn't exist back then, so I couldn't get her to do nothing. But no, I mean, Francine did everything for ECW. Everything. Yeah. I mean, she made the franchise better. She took spot after spot after spot through tables on the floor, neck braces.
So that was warm,
tough as
she was even
nails,
in the later years. She was trying to encourage guys like Justin Credible, like, oh, you win that belt back, or guess what, none of this.
I even
You're like,
remember
I'm
the
getting
line.
that fucking belt.
I remember the line Joey Styles said on the last pay-per-view. He said, going into this match, Just Incredible knows no title, no coochie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she would literally sit there and laugh and talk shit while like
Yes.
the rabid fans would be chanting shit like she's a crack whore, she's got herpes or
Yeah.
whatever the fuck. Like she owned every single moment of it.
She
and it
fucking
just
took
rolled
all of
yeah.
that
right
and
off
turned
her.
it. She took that shit and turned it into gold.
She
man.
ran with it. She
Mhm.
took that shit and
Fucking-
she took that chicken shit. She made chicken salad
Yep.
right out of it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
gotta love
Oh,
the
yeah,
Queen
she
of
did.
Extreme for that.
You can't forget
And that's
her. You
why
gotta
she
have her.
belongs. She absolutely belongs. All right.
1000%.
So I know you were struggling between two. Give us the second one because you've got another pick.
Woman.
Yeah.
You cannot forget woman. Such
Mhm.
fucking class amongst all those fucking animals, man.
I should have brought a fucking pen in. I gotta write this down.
Someone in the comments, keep tallies.
We're gonna
Right?
get lost in
Yeah.
this shit.
No, that is
No.
a great pick. Yeah.
It's a wonderful pick. Like, you know, it happened. We're gonna be real. I'm gonna shoot with you. Clearly, woman is never gonna make it into the WWE Hall
No.
of Fame
Mm-mm.
Which is
because
a damn
of
shame.
what happened with Chris and all of that. But
Yep.
this woman is one of the best. I don't care what you call it, valets, managers, just wrestling personas in wrestling history. And in ECW, she was pivotal. Like, she guided the Sandman to the title, and then I still remember the whole build to the match with the franchise where she said, and I quote, either I'm leaving with the champion or I'm walking home from Florida butt ass naked.
Yep.
And even Joey was like, well, now I hope the Sandman loses. But he did. He did because woman swerved him and got Shane the title, and she thought, and then afterwards, did you really think I was going to leave that town without a championship? I'm too smart for that. I'm like, this woman. No pun intended. This woman right
This
here.
woman right here.
I love the package of her and the Sandman though, where you have the Sandman wearing the Zubaz and smoking a cigarette and drinking a beer.
And she's looking
here
all
she is in a
classy
beautiful
with her
dress
diamonds.
So,
and-
that's what I mean. She was always so fucking elegant amongst all the fucking animals, man.
Oh god, I still remember like she dropped him, and then somehow Missy Elliott came in the picture, and he was calling her mommy, and she was lighting the cigarettes. And I was like, oh, you miss woman.
For sure.
Mike says Beulah was boring. Yeah, she was a little bit boring, but she was also kind of hot and kind of hardcore, so it made up for it.
All right,
She
so I'm
also
writing this
wasn't
all
crazy
down.
about it.
So tell me if I
Okay.
missed somebody. So we got Sabu, Terry Funk, Shane Douglas, Joey Styles, Mikey Ripwreck, Francine, and Woman. Did I miss anybody?
No, not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
Not yet, no. All right, so we're on to Mr. De Niro. Who's your next pick for the Hall of Hardcore?
All right, so this is where we're going to start getting into some of the more household names, I think.
Yeah.
I think for sure next you have to put Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer is the heart, the soul of ECW.
Yeah.
It's hard to think about someone who sacrificed more than Tommy Dreamer. Some of those crazy bumps, like the time where what's called Brian Lee threw him off of the Eagle's Nest into four tables, just sick shit like that. God. Tommy Dreamer was putting his body on the line week in and week out just for the affection of the crowd before he was even over. So, like, if you remember the first Singapore Kane match and the whole "thank you, sir, may I have another?" Like, these were moments that really showed that this guy was going to sacrifice it all just for the accolations from the crowd. So, Tommy Dreamer is without a doubt first ballot.
I mean, how many matches, years, whatever did it take him to beat Raven one-on-one?
Yeah.
But
I believe that
feud
was from 95 to 97, yeah.
That feud and the psychology and all the swerves and everything else just made it so good and so compelling to watch that you didn't care if Tommy won.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think he was there from when they became Extreme to the day they died, and maybe won the world title like the last night.
He won the world title,
or did he win it in the reboot?
He won the world title when Taz won it back when he left WWE.
Yeah, because of the whole Mike Awesome thing.
The whole Mike Awesome thing, and then Tommy Dreamer beat Taz for it, and then Just Incredible came out like right after and beat him for the title. So
Yeah,
his
wouldn't
title
he
reign
hold
was,
it for like
10 minutes.
45 seconds in
Yeah.
ECW, and then he would eventually win it in the reboot. But by that point, it was that
Yeah,
tacky silver
it looked like a police
championship.
badge or something. Yeah,
Oh, it looked like something Paul Heyman would have flushed in his toilet, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, Tommy definitely deserves first ballot, and Mike's still going back and forth with me about Beulah, and I'll be honest, I agree. Like Beulah didn't do as much as Francine. Like she had her moments, the whole I'm pregnant, and all that was part of the whole Tommy Raven saga, and that match with Bill Alfonso. Like it wasn't a great match, but it was fucking brutal.
it was a gory match.
Like neither one of them could tell the difference from a wrist lock and a wrist watch, but they put on a fucking show. Okay, to quote JR. But I'll be honest, being as this is first ballot, I'm not putting Beulah in. Like Francine would go, but Beulah's not on that level in my book. Tommy is for sure. And since I'm talking about it so much, and since it's even being brought up in the chat, I think the next guy we got to put in is Raven.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what's Tommy Dreamer without Raven? And then even the way he came in where Stevie kind of gassed him up, and then you saw him and you realize, because like I'd watched, like I knew he was like Johnny fucking Polo. I was like, what is this guy? Wasn't he like holding a croquet mallet and like running around with Adam Bomb? Like what the fuck happened to him? Like, he was just so fucking amazing. Like at the time, like mid 90s, being that grungy and that off and that odd was just perfect. And his in-ring style, the stuff he did to guys like Tommy Dreamer, even the way he used to slap Stevie around. Like you felt bad for him, but at the same time you were like, good, because Raven is God. And the whole Sandman thing where he stole his wife and kid, and he had Tyler dressed up in like the leather jacket and the shirt and doing this and all.
And then crucifying Sandman.
I was like, you're going too damn far. I like it, but you're going too damn far, Raven. But that was the whole gimmick. Yeah. The whole Raven was not afraid to take it, well beyond the lines, and a lot of times it worked. I mean, maybe the one was when he tried. Maybe the one that didn't was when he tried to crucify Sandman and Kurt Angle was in the crowd. Like that made him a WWE guy, and that probably cost you a little bit. But up and through and beyond that point, he was never afraid to cross that line, and that's what made him so good. And that was another one of those things that when you looked at ECW, you were like, yeah, this is definitely different. Yeah, like any place else, this guy is Johnny fucking Polo, but here he is this. This is definitely different.
And I love the fact that like Joey Styles like broke that fourth wall because he was saying, Scott Levy, what happened to you? Like he was already like mentioning his real name. Like it wasn't like, oh, who is this guy? And he was like, oh, I recognize you. You're Johnny Polo. Scott, what happened to you? Scotty the Body, Scotty Flamingo. Like he was bringing the body,
Scotty Flamingo.
Yeah, he was like going through all like the gimmicks and all that. So I always love that too because it was
the thing that I loved about ECW was they weren't afraid to like shoot and talk shit as wrestlers about other promotions, whether it was Raven talking about himself and his gimmicks, or even when Stone Cold came in and he's doing Monday Night Geritol and his Hulk Hogan impression, and this started in ECW too. So, it was just, it was different. It was an alternative at the time that we're still kind of looking for now. Sorry, AEW, but it's true. And Raven was one of the big things behind it. And even Mike's right. Like this is how you have to think of Raven. Feuded with Sandman, Tommy, Funk, Shane. He was full circle.
Yeah.
And because of that, he belongs in this class with probably all of them. I don't know. I've never been that partial to Sandman, so I'm gonna skip him at least for now. I mean, yeah, he was a loudmouth and he was different, and the entrance. The entrance was
itself is a Hall of Fame entrance. Yeah.
The rest was like. Like I think Metallica blasting, he's got a beer, he's got a cigarette,
like slamming it,
busted himself open before he even gets in the ring. Like that was cool. And then you saw him wrestle, and you were like, have you been trained, homie? Like
They
did you-
didn't really protect the gimmick too much. Like I feel like that was something you could have protected the gimmick, have him
No.
just destroy guys with the kendo stick. Like he didn't even have to wrestle. Once you started seeing him try to do like drop toe holds and going up and like stumbling before he hit that like flipping senton, it was like.
Yeah.
So I definitely think he belongs, but maybe the second go around, maybe
Second,
not.
third,
Just
Like,
like his,
you know, like if we
second
do
or
this
third,
next
somewhere in
year,
there.
we do a second bout, then maybe Sandman, but not now.
but not this time around.
yeah.
No.
There's definitely people that I think deserve to be in now, and I gotta quickly turn around and give you another pick, and I'm gonna add my first tag team, but it's not just a tag team. Of course, the Dudley Boys belong first ballot. You cannot argue that. I am gonna give a shout out to the entire Dudley fucking family on this one.
Yes.
Not just, yes, Bubba and Devon went on to humongous success, but you know what? They might not have been where they were if it weren't for Sign Guy, Dances with Dudley. Let us
Dudley,
not
Dudley.
forget Big Dick Dudley. Okay.
Yes.
And his finishing move, total penetration. I'm not making this up, kids. Go look
Nope.
it up.
Yep.
And then of course Dudley, you know, but like that was the whole thing. They had this oddball Dudley family, and Bubba started out as the stuttering guy. If you haven't seen Broken Skull or ECW, if you don't know, you know, my name is Buh, and then Big Dick would just he'd go, my name is Bubba Ray Dudley. Tune into ECW, or he started dancing and everything.
Yeah.
And they were just this oddball group, and then Devon came in as like the black sheep of the family. Slapping everybody around, laying out Big Dick, which at that point nobody had, getting in these wars with Bubba and proving that like these guys have some chemistry, like they can go in the ring, and Bubba's not half bad because we had only seen him do so much up to that point. And then when they became a team, they were the type of heel tag team that the franchise was in the solo division. Like they just drew nuclear levels of heat.
Riot
Like to the
and-
point, riots, people jumping the rails and coming after them, and they encouraged it. Like, didn't give a fuck. But they'll fight somebody from the crowd. They don't give a shit. They'll put them through a table too. Maybe they'll light it on fire. They don't give a fuck. And literally, you see these guys just tearing through everybody, include like anybody. Beulah, yeah, we'll break her fucking neck. Who gives a shit?
Who gives a fuck?
We'll put Tommy through a flaming table. I don't care if he turns into soot in the middle of the ring. Like, you remember what Randy did to the Fiend? We'll do worse now. You know, they were just the no fucks given tag team.
Yeah.
Maybe the most no fucks given team of all time. And when they moved on, obviously their thing carried throughout, you know, many different promotions across continents. They won every tag title there was to win.
I still think that their best rendition though was ECW.
Yeah. But nothing beat ECW.
Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, don't get me wrong, Dudleys were great. They're probably maybe the most decorated tag team in history, but it all started right there in the bingo hall. And they did so much for not only themselves, but for ECW. I mean, Bubba talks about it all the time, about how, you know, even after matches, he'd be like stitched up, calling, trying to promote shows and book venues and do whatever. He had his old gimmick name that he used as like a representative of ECW and all that shit. I mean, they did so much. They deserve to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
For sure. Yeah.
And so does the rest of the Dudley family, because without them,
Spike.
you don't have
Yeah, I was gonna
Devon.
say, look at
Even
everything Spike put himself to.
Spike being the giant killer back in the day. I know Rey Mysterio got his shot in WWE because Paul talked to Vince about what they did with Spike in ECW.
The biggest underdog was Spike.
Yeah.
Now it's Ray.
And that carried over when Rey Mysterio came in, and that's how he was able to become a world champion. You can fight me on it all you want. Go back and watch. Wendy is flying all over the screen. I'm dizzy. Yeah, technical issues. You gotta love that shit, man. He said black sheep. I get it. Yeah, I figured.
Lol. Lols.
But it was just so, again, different, cool. And if it weren't for that whole family, including Spike, I don't know where ECW would be. I don't know where some of these guys would be in other promotions, like Ray for starters.
Yeah.
They help change the game. And now people that are trying to draw heat and doing all that are basically doing their best Dudley impression.
Yeah, it's a Dudley cosplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and good for you because it works. But they're the ones that laid the blueprint and the foundation and built the building, and now you're walking in it.
There's nothing like the original. So
yeah, definitely put the whole Dudley family on the list. Fuck it, they all deserve it.
and you have to add Joel Gertner in that too. So
yeah,
But
Joel can go.
he added a
too.
lot to the presentation with the what's called when he would like
The-
introduce them in the
The
ring.
ring, weighing in at a rough cut, buff.
And
Jack! 239 and 3/4 pounds. Yeah.
yeah,
From South Central Dudleyville. All
yeah,
right.
a lot to the package.
So we're gonna go back to my man, Mr. De Niro here, and you get to throw your next name onto the Hall of Hardcore.
I'm gonna go with Rob Van Dam. RVD was something different for that crowd. They got a lot of violence. They got a lot of pure wrestling. But Rob Van Dam was that cocky martial artist type wrestler and became at one point towards the end the biggest draw in ECW to the point where they were drawing record crowds. And the reason why he got the name the whole fucking show is because it was true. The crowd was chanting for him before the show, during intermission, all the way to the main
At all
event.
times.
Yeah, Rob Van Dam was, look at his TV title reign, over 2 years, legendary.
Yeah, and he had to hand it in because he was hurt.
And
Like nobody could beat him.
yeah, and at those times, like you didn't see long title reigns. The WCW World Champion was getting hot shot week to week. The WWF World Champion is getting hot shot week to week. Here is Rob Van Dam, and he's not even the world champion. He's the TV title holder, and he's holding it for 2 years to the point where the secondary title was just as or even more important as the world title at that point. So I feel like Rob Van Dam 100% has to go in first ballot.
Yeah, you might say RVD's in my top 5 all time. That's saying something.
Shout out to Rob Van Dam fighting tonight in Pro Wrestling Noah, making his pro wrestling return.
Yes. I've got to find a way to see like highlights or something. Like I'm gonna find that when we get off because I am a huge RVD guy. I mean that was, I think the beginning of the show when I would introduce myself, I would literally say I'm the producer, the soundboard got the whole fucking show. DOM. Like that was like I am a huge RVD guy. At one point we came in with One of a Kind, the old WWE theme for RVD, just because I felt like
just because.
That's a great
like
theme,
we came in just headbanging live.
Beats,
like,
Pantera Walk with everybody doing
Yes.
Specs Walk. It was
what do you say? Oh my god, so good.
Yeah, shout out to RVD.
Shout out to RVD. I will always love that guy. Maybe not your taste in women, but otherwise.
Yeah.
And no man, I don't know if any man had more nicknames in professional wrestling than RVD. He was Mr. Monday Night. He was the whole fucking show. He was Mr. Pay-Per-View. When they moved to Thursdays, he was Mr. Thursday Night. You know, the whole night.
Even when he went to WWE and they had the PG version, he was the whole damn show. That was so corny. The RVD 420, I am so upset that Matt Riddle stole that from RVD. The whole Arcade Bro 420 thing, we just smoked your ass.
I think he said it. He used to say it all the time when he was at Impact. Like before he stopped wrestling, he said, everybody wants to copy RVD. Mm-hmm. And here's Riddle at WWE. What do you know? The man's not wrong. He may be high and he may be old, but he's not wrong.
Not wrong.
For sure.
All right, and speaking of wrong, I'm dying. I don't know about you guys, but I'm dying to hear that Mike says one person who goes on the ECW who gives a shit wing of the Hall of Hardcore. I'll wait. Let me know when you want to know. I kind of want to know. What do you guys?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious.
Big Mike, I'm dying, man. Let us know. And while you're typing, Grandma, it's your turn to add somebody to this amazing Hall of Hardcore we've got going.
Brian mentioned it earlier, and I was like, how did we miss this entirely? Like, we fucking suck for this. Fucking Cactus Jack.
Yeah.
He was there for a
Yeah.
short period, but it was impactful.
But it
It
was,
was
yeah.
definitely like the promos he cut were impactful, and then he was one of those guys that was like begging Vince McMahon to take him back.
Yep.
And there was
Yeah.
even that point where he was gonna bore the crowd as much as he could. Like he wasn't gonna do anything hardcore.
He was
anymore.
doing
He was
like
just
this
gonna
headlock,
Yeah,
like
he was doing-
headlocks,
yeah.
wrist locks,
Yep.
you know, arm drags, and just stand there, and people are booing him, and he's like, I don't care.
I
He's
mean-
got
I don't care.
WWF and E on his T-shirt.
But the whole Kane Dewey thing, like the whole reason behind it, as like a father, can you blame him? Like you're giving your body up on the like you're putting your body on the line, and then this crowd chants for the Sandman to cane your
Kane and your
child.
son.
Yeah, your child.
So
Of all-
now
No,
it's
I
like,
didn't
fuck
blame
you
them.
guys. Like, yeah. So like, even though he was a heel, you could understand it. Like, and I always feel like the best heels are right in their mind. You
Yeah.
know, it's not like they're just doing evil shit to do evil shit. The best heels feel like they're the hero in their mind. And I think that
Yeah.
Cactus Jack was a amazing heel in ECW.
Absolutely. You know what, Mike? I kind of thought you were going to say New Jack, but you went the other way. You
I
went
legitimately
mass
thought he was going to
transit.
say New Jack as well.
He
but okay.
belongs in the who gives a shit wing of the Hall of Hardcore by himself.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. The best
Yeah.
breeder, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you know, maybe we should put a tiny picture of New Jack next to him just to fuck with him. But yeah, he belongs. He definitely belongs.
That was just tragic.
But no, Cactus Jack is a great fucking
Yeah.
pick. I'm definitely with it. I was telling my wife we were gonna do this before the show, and God love her, she looks at me and goes, "Chris Jericho." I was like, he was there for like a month.
He was here for a cup of coffee. Like,
Yeah.
You know, and now that I think about it, Terry Funk was to ECW because it just popped in my head, what Chris Jericho was to AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Came in, gave them that legendary name, took their title, you know, pushed them to the forefront, and then just
Young
kinda-
talent. Yeah.
and then backed off to let, you know, other guys get that push and that legitimacy by kind of knocking him off or having these amazingly brutal matches with him. He might have done more for ECW than Jericho did for AEW, if I'm really being honest. But it's kind of the same comparison. And I also said that to give Wendy a little bit more time to think because she's got another pick rolling around. So when you are finished chewing, of course, because we can't get through an episode without Wendy snacking. Sometimes
sorry,
it's the whole
sticky
show.
candy.
Sometimes it's the whole show, or she's sitting here going, "Oh my god, why did I eat that? Fuck."
Yeah. That's why I'm such a fatty.
Yeah, it's fine. We love you for who you are. So, with all that out of the way, give us your next pick for the Hall of Hardcore, if you will.
I'm kind of conflicted. Like, do we want to? Do we not? But I'm like, how can we not, though? Include Paulie Dangerously.
Of course, you got to put Paul in there.
Like, how can we not?
Especially if you put Joey
remember-
Styles in there too. Yeah, you have to put Paul,
Yeah.
How can we forget Paulie?
the cult leader of ECW.
Exactly. Like, yeah, you know, he ran it to the ground, but he also fucking raised it up, you know, like he birthed it and then
Yeah.
he murdered his monstrosity.
Pretty much.
And I say
He-
monstrosity with all the love because it was.
I mean, it
Monstrosity in a good way.
exactly. It was a beautiful monster.
It wasn't him, or it was either him or TNN or a combination of both. But yeah, but like, what if it weren't for Paul? It would still have been Eastern Championship Wrestling, which was, believe me, I sat through it live. It was fucking garbage. It was like dusting off the NWA trash heap. It was bad. And Mike says you're not fat, you're fat. PH. I agree.
Take it back to the year 2000.
Just as much as I agree with Paul, because there is nothing without Heyman. Like, I know he couldn't balance books, the checks bounced,
Yeah,
you know,
rob Peter to pay Paul 3/4 of
rob
the
Peter
time.
to pay Paul. Some of these guys, Paul still owes them money, and you know he's made a fortune in WWE,
Yeah.
and he ain't paid them a cent.
I look at those custom suits he wears.
But you know what? The fact that none of them give a shit speaks to what Paul is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like he was the cult leader. He was just like, here, drink this Kool-Aid. We're going to the top. Yeah, boss.
And like
You don't
like
have to pay
Tommy
me.
Dreamer said before,
Like, yeah, fuck
he
that.
gave a lot of people opportunities. He gave a lot of people a platform to become household names. And if you did not like the fact that you were not being paid, or if you did not like the fact that you were being lied to, not saying it was right, you could have left.
Right.
And those who didn't, you stayed. You know what you're getting into. You know what you signed up
Right.
for. So there, he had his way of like you just would like believe in him and you would go through fire for him. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Brian's absolutely right. Bubba Ray, in interviews after the fact, called him the David Koresh of ECW. He really,
Oh my God.
I know, but I know it sounds bad, but you know, it's kind of that. Again, it's that Falcon Winter Soldier moment. Like, yeah, Bubba was out of line, but he wasn't wrong.
No,
You
no, he wasn't wrong.
know? And you know, I mean, and Paul did a great job of like taking his misfit toys and accentuating their strengths while hiding their weaknesses. Because a lot of these guys, when they did leave and go to WCW or WWE, like they didn't last very long or look very good. You know, like think about Public Enemy in WWE. That was an abomination, and they were hated within minutes of showing up. Because
my
they
God, yeah.
treated that locker room like the ECW locker room, and it did not go over well, especially
Even-
with
Even Public
Farouk
Enemy
and
in WCW.
Bradshaw.
Yeah, even Public Enemy and WCW, they lost that luster, and it was like I remember WCW. I remember watching the Nitro where Public Enemy made their debut, and they got DQ'd for using the table. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, so we already know this is not
We
going.
know
to
how
be
this is going, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yep.
So
Wait, who can we not forget, Mike? And is this for the Hall of Hardcore, or who gives a shit? You got to be more specific, homie. While you're getting to that, we're gonna move on to Mr. De Niro here. Do you have somebody else you want to add to the first ballot Hall of Hardcore?
I know he's very controversial for his ECW run, but I think that Taz is first ballot. Taz,
Oh, definitely.
his run in ECW was second to none.
Yes.
I know a lot of the wrestlers didn't like him because he lived the gimmick a little bit, but if you just think about how like badass it was for Taz, like the promos with the towel, ripped up towel on his head, talk about, oh, Goldberg, you're too scared to come over here and prove yourself. Steve Austin, I'm calling you out. And then made it seem like he was the biggest badass in the world. And then goes into the ring and then suplexes people all over around. The whole feud with Sabu, legendary. The feud with Bam Bam, legendary. The feud with King Douglas, legendary. So I think Taz is definitely for his ballot.
Yeah,
for sure. He brought he brought a whole different realm to wrestling in ECW because he didn't need weapons. He was just a shooter that made it so believable that.
And he was Wendy's height for God's sake.
To be fair, he probably had like a few more inches on me. I'm 5 even.
But I think he even mentioned on might have been Dynamite, might have been Rampage. Like I was never 5'8" in my life. You know,
Satnam Singh.
I think it was Rampage when they Satnam Singh's debut.
It said he was 5'9" at the age of 15. He was like, I'm not even 5'9" now.
I'm not. I was never 5'9" in my life, especially after that pile driver.
I love Taz's commentary.
No, it was. I think the thing about Taz is you could put him in the Hall of Hardcore, and like Mike said, you might be able to put him in the Hall of Who Gives a Shit, but not. But hear me out. You could put Taz, like FTW, Towel, Human Suplex Machine Taz, in the Hall of Hardcore. You could put the Tasmaniac in Who Gives a Shit.
Oh yeah.
Nobody. I lived it, and I saw people watch this guy as the Tasmaniac, and nobody ever went, "Oh, this motherfucker right here,
the one."
That's the dude you need to run with. He's going to be a champ for years to come." Like, no. But once he came out and he had the whole new look, and he had Team Taz and Bill Alfonso and all that shit, it was like, okay, now you're ready, dude. So he's one of the guys that you could put in either wing, and you're not wrong.
Just depends on the year.
Yeah.
You know, I do. I know I'm supposed to get one more or two more picks. I'm not even sure I got two people left because we have got a nice class right here. But
that's very important. You have to put the same in. We're gonna keep on saying names, and Sandman is gonna be in this class.
No. I will sooner put the zombie in.
just FYI,
like Kevin Thorne will be in before Sandman.
Our initial class, we're up to 15 people right now.
It's a 3-day event.
Okay. Well, my next pick, I'm going to go back to tag teams. And, you know, we talked about how RVD would say everybody was trying to copy him. There was another tag team in ECW that when you look ahead to the future, a lot of tag teams kind of modeled themselves after. And that tag team is the Eliminators. Perry Saturn and John Cronus. I mean, you cannot look at Red Dragon and not see the Eliminators. There's a few other teams, but if you're looking at current, look at Red Dragon. They are the Eliminators, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
And that team was so cool because they were the guys, along with, you know, guys that spent a little time there, like Eddie Guerrero, like Dean Malenko, like whatever. Like, yeah, they could get hardcore, but these guys were technical. They had killer submission games. They could fly. They had the educated feet, as JR used to say, like before RVD, you know, and they were just like, they could brawl with the gangsters, or they could get in there with another team and just give you a 15-minute mat classic.
Yeah.
I thought they were headed to bigger and better places like the Dudleys, and then unfortunately they kind of split, and shortly after that John Cronus passed away, and Lord knows Perry Saturn, what the fuck happened to that guy? But jury's out on that. But they were a tag team that other teams like the Dudleys modeled themselves on going forward. And it's kind of like, no, Mike, I am not going Public Enemy. Sorry. Like, I will not go there. But these guys elevated that tag division. Like, when you saw them against RVD and Sabu, when you saw them against the Gangsters, when you even had them in the ring against the Dudleys, you know, you thought, like, these motherfuckers could take anyone. And they were not the biggest, and they were not the most hardcore. But you immediately thought, like, they're legit. Right off, you know, whenever they stepped in the ring with any of the top tag teams in ECW.
Yeah.
And I really did think like they were going to that Dudley level and just didn't work out. But I have to add them to this class for sure. Yeah. And I get, yeah, as annoying as he was, I couldn't help but love him. So my next pick, maybe my last pick, a man that's still around today in the wrestling business, Fonzie. I mean, name,
Daddy.
Yeah, right down the middle, Daddy. The fucking whistle.
That whistle used to annoy the shit out of me during matches.
If we go down this Hall of Fame class, Fonzie's probably managed 5 or 6 of them. And all of them won titles with him. Like Sabu and RVD had multiple championships. Taz was world champ. Franchise world champ, you know, just the list went on and on and on and on and on. Fonzie did so much for ECW, and then had that brutal match like I talked about with Beulah, where he's bleeding, she's bleeding. You know, we always talk about being big fans of intergender wrestling. To see those two have that kind of hardcore match where they were trying to kill one another because there was not much wrestling involved in any of it.
Yeah,
it was like. Yeah, this is what this is what got me into that intergender in the first place, was watching matches like this. When a guy like Bill Alfonso can just turn Beulah McGillicuddy into a bloody mess like Crimson Mask and lose. Like, okay, I could see this again. And it's why when you see, like, you cut ahead to today, you see someone like Jordan Grace in a ring with Matt Cardona, and you're like, yeah, she could beat this motherfucker. He's
the innovator of the intergender match.
Because it's like, when I saw Beulah against Bill Alfonso, like, yeah, I was young and I was kind of dumb, and I thought, there's no way this 90-pound woman is beating this guy. I don't care if he looks like a rat or not. And then it happened. So by the time Jordan Grace walks into a ring with Matt Cardona all these years later, I'm thinking back to that going, yeah, this bitch will kill him.
For sure.
Just thinking of Fonzie made my ears ring with that damn whistle. Yeah, I can hear it in my head as soon as I said his name. Just fuck, dude. All through the match with the fucking whistle. Like, we get it, Fonzie. You're there. Shut the fuck up. So I'll go back to Mike first. Is there anybody else you think we should add to this first ballot Hall of Hardcore? Because I think that gets us to what, 20?
Yeah, I got one more. If you want to talk about people becoming innovators and having an innovative style, I got to go with Too Cold Scorpio. because Too Cold Scorpio was doing 450s way before I saw anyone else doing 450s. Too Cold Scorpio had just this swag about him that some wrestlers wish that they had, but his style of wrestling is something that we see all over professional wrestling now, but he's a guy that gets very little credit for it. So I think definitely Too Cold Scorpio, and he's won titles. He's been in a lot of major feuds. He's been in a lot of major moments. When Shane Douglas threw down the title, it was against Too Cold Scorpio.
Yeah.
So I definitely am going with Scorp because
he was a multiple-time TV champ. He was tag champion multiple times. That match he had with Sabu, I think it was, for the TV title, it ended up a time limit draw. Like that shit, it was graceful.
That's when he wore like the rip tights, right?
Yeah, he had like the rip tights with the pair underneath or whatever. He had like his legs sticking out, but like some of the shit that he pulled off top rope, you've never seen anybody before or since. Like his old finishing move, he would drop the bomb, which was kind of like a 450, but he would spin an extra and drop a leg or something on somebody. And you're just like, I have never seen that before. I don't know if I've seen anybody do that since.
Yeah.
So Too Cold was definitely one of those guys that put, a lot of eyes on ECW, number one. Got into some big feuds. And if RVD was the guy that people are copying today, Too Cold might have been the guy that wrestlers were copying after that, leading up to RVD.
And like I said, he's not a small man. Like I'm 6'1". I've met Too Cold Scorpio and I'm looking up to him. Like he is a bigger guy. Like he's about like 6'2", I would say. Like he is a big guy and was pulling out cruiserweight moves. It's no Public Enemy. Public Enemy, they are legendary for their run in ECW in the early days of ECW. But I don't think that they were around for too much of the glory years of ECW. Like those early days, the 95, 96 era Public Enemy was the main tag team, but Dudley Boys trumped them. The Eliminators trumped them. And then we see these wrestlers and these legendary acts that we talked about as like first ballot Hall of Famers go on to other companies and took the name that they created in ECW and was able to make a bigger legacy in other companies because of what they created in ECW. Public Enemy did not have that turnover.
Right. And not only that, like Brian brought up, like, Fonzie's whistle hurting his ears. I don't know. Public Enemy's promos did more to me than Fonzie ever did with that fucking whistle.
Johnny, what are we going to do? I was like,
Johnny, what are we going to fucking do about Mikey fucking Whipper?
Oh my God, shut the fuck up. I admit at the beginning of Extreme they were a key cog, but like they fell out pretty quickly, and then when they went on, they did like nothing, and they were one of these teams that was like, yeah, maybe we come back. Never did.
I think they came back for one shot. They went against the Dudleys, and the Dudleys it was like a easy, quick win for the Dudleys. And then Big Dick came in and destroyed them. And I would never forget the line. Big Dick hits him with the double clothesline, and Joey Styles says, "Big Dick unloads."
From a see myself. Oh my God,
Joey, man,
legendary.
Also, why he's first ballot as well.
Yes,
Wendy, my lady, do you have anybody else that you want to add to
lady? There's a lady in the room. What the fuck?
Like half the time. Maybe half the time.
I'll be honest with these two picks. I'm kind of like, do I want someone who really lived the gimmick a little too through and through, or do I want someone who, while putting on great matches, was a bit of a snooze fest?
Now, before you go and like beat your brains up, now you would have two picks. So
this is true. So these are my last two. These are my last two.
Both.
These are my last two: New Jack and Lance Storm.
Ooh.
Opposite sides of the spectrum, but
exactly.
That is the polar opposites, man. Like New Jack was just all hardcore and violence and suicidal
lived
shit,
it through and through.
all while Ice Cube was playing the entire time, which was probably my favorite part of New Jack. But
that's why I hate watching ECW on the network with their dubbed over.
Oh God, yeah, in the ghetto,
man. Like, that is not Natural Born Killers.
No,
come on.
You know what? Honestly, I would mute that, and then I would just put Natural Born Killers on, and I would put it on repeat, and I would watch this match, and when it was over, I would stop, and then I would move forward. Unless Little Psycho was watching with me, because we did watch ECW from the beginning, so I would let that play out. But if I was watching it on my own, No, then we're getting natural born killers. And then
sure.
Lance Storm was the complete, like, he was another one of those guys in the same
Great
breath with, like,
matches, but
the Malenkos, Guerreros, the guys that put on the amazing wrestling matches, had all the technical ability in the world, could have been on any other show, and somehow ended up on ECW, and the crowd just sucked it all
Yeah.
in.
Though I
And
do
then the
feel,
Impact players. I mean,
Yeah.
fuck.
I do feel though, if we put in Lance Storm, we have to put in Chris Candido.
oh yeah,
Candido
definitely.
definitely is the first ballot also.
I know. I feel like we need to
That
put
brings
the
us to
entire.
20.
I think we need to put the entire triple threat in, to
threat,
be
yeah.
honest. Like Shane,
Bam
Chris,
Bam is worthy of it too.
Bam Bam. You
Yeah.
know?
For sure.
Because we
Okay.
are up to 20 now with Chris Candido.
Fuck, it had Bam Bam, so the class is old enough to drink. They're extreme.
There
And
you
he
go.
deserved it. I mean, former ECW champ. Who will ever forget him putting Taz through the fucking ramp in his hometown? Like, Jesus.
And the ring, like,
And the
moment
ring.
when he went through the ring, like, I don't know if you saw on the Instagram, I literally just covered that like not too long ago, and I've seen that match like 100 times, but it's still like one of my favorite moments. Like when it happens, I'm just like, it's amazing. Like the way I believe it was referee John Finnegan, the way he just reacted was like, what just happened? The crowd just like, you have that small hush first of like, what the fuck, and then they just all pop. Like it was a great moment.
No, I mean, every time I watch it to this day and I see Taz like go through the ring, I always have that same thought in my head, like, was that supposed to happen?
Even if they had a trap door, a crash pad, you still got a 300, almost 400-pound man landing on you too. So it's like,
Yeah,
you could land on foam, but if a 400-pound man's landing on me, that's just gonna hurt. You know what I
it's
mean?
still
Like,
gonna fucking hurt.
Yeah.
I don't care what you put under you.
for real.
It might hurt a little less, but notice how I said hurt. No, absolutely. So I mean, Bam Bam had so many. He was a huge part of the triple threat, and then he had the stuff with Taz and Wendy's in the witness protection program. I don't know what happened, but he had the stuff with Taz, and then just the matches with the franchise. I mean, I think you could put Bam Bam in any Hall of Fame, whether it be this one, WWE, whatever, and people were like, "Yeah, good pick."
For sure.
What did Mike say? He said, "My beef with New Jack is because I knew him. To know him is a chore." Well, yeah, you can kind of
Personally though, with New Jack,
He's
like
that-
go ahead. Sorry.
He goes on to say he's that guy that always wanted something, and if you did it, he will always bother you. But don't ever ask him. Yeah, New Jack was a wee bit of a selfish dude.
I'm gonna tell you one thing. I love New Jack so much because there was a time where he was doing a live stream on Facebook, and I was on it, and he was like, "I'm bored as fuck, guys. Give me something to do. Give me something to listen to." So he put his email on the stream. So I emailed him some of my music, like my rap group's music. He played it on the stream, and not only did he play it, but he said he fucked with it too. So I was like, forever, New Jack, you have a fan in me. I
can
always
see
want
that.
to be happy about that. Like that really made my, because I always liked New Jack, but then when I had like that personal moment with him, like I thought that was like, awesome.
Definitely.
I didn't know him like that. So yeah,
honestly, if I saw him live on Facebook and I said watch my podcast and put like a clip up, and the next thing you know he's broadcasting it on his live stream, I might like him a little too.
Yeah,
like I can't blame you for that one, homie. Like not one bit.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, Big Mike did have his run-ins with New Jack being a wrestler at the time, and so back then, I don't know, maybe he softened. It certainly didn't look like it when you saw him,
on
in appearances or like Dark Side or whatever.
Yeah.
But again, I just go back to my whole my whole catchphrase of just do you.
I agree.
Like, hey, I don't blame you for liking New Jack for that. I don't blame Mike for not liking him. It's just,
like I said, I didn't know him personally, so like
one Mike and another Mike had totally different experiences with New Jack, so one likes him and one don't. Do you? And then he stabbed you.
Yeah.
After you did for him, then he stabbed you. There's a reason I've been hanging out with this dude since I was in 9th grade. Uh-oh, I can't hear Wendy.
Oh, I'm on mute. Sorry. I had to ring off
okay.
because my bladder was fit to burst, and I'm laughing at and then he stabbed you like, oh, hey, thanks for the favor. Stab, stab, stab.
Ah,
Yeah.
Appreciate
thanks for
you.
giving me what I want. Motherfucker.
Can I borrow $10?
That's
Right?
the knife I have.
You're on the ground bleeding. You're on the ground bleeding. He's like, "Yo, let me hold $20."
Like I'm just too tired. Just take 30. Leave me alone.
You're
Stop
you're
stabbing
bleeding
me.
like I just gave you 50, homie.
I remember he used to come out with
Another
like that
50, I
Wolverine
can't.
claw. Remember like the Wolverine claw used to
Yeah.
come out like, bro, fucking psycho. Like I remember also like I know like everyone knows like the infamous like throwing Vic Grimes off of like an XPW.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
But-
XPW.
Like,
Jesus.
I don't know if you've seen the show Hardcore Homecoming, right? It was
I have.
yeah, and he's like stabbing Axel Ryan with like scissors and shit, like crazy.
Mhm.
Like because I was seeing parts of like I thought he was like protecting him. He had like the scissors, like maybe like this, and but there was
Yeah,
one
like you
part
put
where
him, to the point where the palm's hitting
Yeah.
or something. Nope.
Nope.
He's
zoomed
holding the
in,
handle and the whole blade is out,
Yep.
and he's just
Yeah.
digging and.
It's like God damn, and then they all hug after it. I'm like, fuck that. Someone stabbed me
Yeah,
for real. We
yeah.
have a problem.
I never got my pick for the Way Back When review. Hardcore Homecoming was going to be my pick.
Great show.
It was like
That's not the
it was
DVD
kind of
version
like the
of it.
genesis. It was like, okay, so Vince isn't big on the one night stand concept, so I'm gonna call Shane, have him put this show together, and when Vince sees the turnout, he'll have no choice.
Yeah. Like,
And that's exactly how the shit went down, folks.
I really wish I was at that show because I have the DVD of that show, and that's a horrible DVD. Like everything's dubbed over. Like
Oh
you
yeah.
have all these weird camera angles and like
I'm
split
gonna try and see if I still have it saved, but I found like an awesome copy that I was gonna have these guys watch on YouTube of the entire show.
Mm.
And nothing's dubbed over. It's just the show. It's
I would
not
love
the
to go
greatest
for that.
recording on earth, but it's the full show. It with no cuts, no edits, no nothing. So
Oh,
if I can
wow.
go back and find it, I'll send it to you. You
Please
you
do.
gotta see
Yeah.
it. But yeah, I think that's like 21 people from ECW into the first class in the Hall of Hardcore. And honestly, like if they would have done this leading into the first one night stand and then came back with it, even if you eventually kind of, because the original ECW guys would have aged and some of them
Yeah.
passed away before and after the one night stand. So eventually, if you wanted to throw like some WWE guys into one night stand and continue with this Hall of Hardcore, I think that would have been a much better way to go than the reboots.
Or even legendary hardcore wrestlers that were not like really in ECW, because you have you have guys like Jushin Liger who was in the WWE Hall of Fame and he was only in for like that one NXT thing. So like you could have eventually
much.
like went and did like Onita and guys like that. Like
I was going to bring him up, or you could have
Yeah.
gone to like and brought guys in from like CZW or whatever,
Exactly,
and
yeah.
had them
Mhm.
at one night stand and show you like the next generation of hardcore, that sort of thing. Even
Sure,
today,
yeah.
you could have been like, pumping guys in that were in GCW,
Mhm.
had them in ECW one night stand. I mean, GCW did a show a few months ago at the Hammerstein Ballroom for the first
Yeah, I was
time.
there.
So obviously they're trying to kind of pay that homage. So.
Mhm.
There were alternate routes that you could have gone that would have been better than what you chose, is
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
For sure.
Fair.
And I think that's a good place to stop here because, man, we went off. Like, I was not expecting to be on this long. I
Yeah.
feel bad. I feel bad. I kept grandma past the time her husband's going to get home. Mike
Oh,
was
he's
on
here.
my man Mike was on a 3-hour stream with Circle of Debate. Now we're on 2.5.
Oh no,
plus.
please
Like,
don't feel bad. I love these things. Like I live for this, honestly.
No, I do too.
Yeah.
And it's always a nice time. It's always nice when I'm able to get away from like being, dad and whatever the fuck and just be the psycho again. Like that's
Yeah.
fun. But we've had plenty of fun for one night. Like this is enough talk. We got through the main event. It is time to start getting the fuck up out of here. So the first thing I want to do is toss the spotlight over to my main man here, Mr. De Niro, and just let you plug. Like, tell people where they can find your podcast. Tell people where they can find your music because I've heard some of it and it's fucking dope.
Thank you.
Just everything wrestling DeLorean, your group, the whole nine. Just put it all out there for everyone to see and hopefully follow.
Great, thank you. Yes, so Wrestling DeLorean podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on all podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Podbean. If you listen to podcasts on any audio network forms, like we're there, we're always there. So iHeartRadio, everything. Check us out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. On YouTube, we're starting to put the shows on YouTube. Right now, it's just in audio form, but I was talking to my homie South Philly Psycho, and we're going to start putting the visuals out there too. So check us out on YouTube. So follow the Wrestling DeLorean on YouTube, the Wrestling DeLorean on Twitch. We have live watch-alongs and streams where we watch AEW Dynamite every Wednesday. On Fridays, we do SmackDown and Rampage. I have a new podcast with my rap group, the Lords of Gotham. So follow Lords of Gotham on YouTube. Follow Lords of Gotham on Instagram at Lords_of_Gotham. And you can follow the Wrestling DeLorean on Instagram at Wrestling DeLorean Pod, on TikTok at Wrestling DeLorean Pod, and on Twitter at W_DeLorean Pod. And once again, this was an honor, and I really appreciate you guys having me on. This was
man, we appreciate you coming through. Like, this was amazing, and yeah, I'll help you with the YouTube. I might get you to help me with the Twitch because I watch a lot of those streams, but I have no idea how to fucking do them. So maybe we can just trade some information so you can get on YouTube, and maybe one day you see Top Rope on Twitch, and
For sure. That'd be awesome.
It's just league recognized league. We back each other up, that sort of thing. We appreciate the shit out of this, man. I guess since Brucey's not here, I will take over the title before throwing it to Wendy. So once again, thank everybody for showing up, getting involved. I love seeing these comments just flying in. If you want to continue the talk anywhere on social media, you can find us. If you want to know where to find us, I'm going to tell you right now. You can go to Facebook. You're going to find us in two places. Just search for Top Rope Wrestling Talk. You will see our public group. Make sure to invite yourself. Get in on we do like live discussion threads if we're around for WWE shows. We definitely do AEW Dynamite. We even have some guys that jump in and do a Rampage thread, and sometimes I show up, sometimes I don't, because sometimes I'm on here. And then of course there's our podcast page where you'll catch our clips, get links to our merch sites. Even if you're somebody who potentially wants to come on the show, you can get in touch with us through that, and we just handle our business there. So one's like where we kick it and party, the other one's for business. So find us there. You can catch us on Twitter at Top Rope WT. That's pretty simple, right? Like, we're still good. Like, it's pretty easy for everybody to follow along. You're also going to find everyone in our followers from the League of Extraordinary podcast. So if you do want to, check up on Wrestling DeLorean, Circle of Debate, The Call Up, my guys, Dirty Heels, and that's one thing I'm gonna take a moment because it totally slipped my mind. I was a fan of these guys before I ever got in the league and worked with them. I think Wendy was too. I know Mike was. Yeah. I gotta wish the happiest of birthdays before it's over to my favorite good brother, the DOE, Mr. Boove. Live it up, man. Drink that Henny. Have some fun.
It's definitely happy birthday, man.
32 is a good year. Let's make it the best. And I'm going to go back now because that totally slipped my brain. I am so sorry. And then, of course, last but not least, you can catch us on the PWI Lifetime Achievement Award winner for worst Instagram handle ever. Thank you, Bruce. And that is at top_rope_wrestling_talk. Like, what the fuck?
Well, the Lord is not far behind there.
I mean, I would say don't smoke weed when creating an Instagram page, but then it won us an award, so maybe you should. Try it. I don't know.
The award is an award.
But it is the worst, and we will never change it because nothing will be worse. We've got it. And I'm going to kick it to Wendy for the audio podcast, but since I will be getting the audio podcast out, if you don't know, we have been here on YouTube, and a good portion of our podcast didn't want to come out on the audio platforms, and I've already had Anchor and Spotify apologize to me for that. Anything that you missed, even some YouTube exclusives, some other shows are right here at TRWT parentheses, a Fox Den John. Yes, it's JAWN. It's a Philly thing because it's mine. And you will see every episode of this show, which is including the exclusives. You will see shooting the shit with Brucey and I, which we have been dying to get back to do, but prices going up. These bills ain't getting any cheaper. We got to be out here hustling. You will see the Sports Syndicate, which again had Bruce, my man Nick, who was in the chat. We cut it up about whatever's going on in the NFL, NBA, you name it. Old episodes of Drunk Upon a Time, which I kind of miss doing. There's even a few episodes with Grandma and my wife and myself.
That's true.
We just had fun, like calling people idiots and drinking and telling stories and playing games. And it's just, it's a good time. So, but there's a ton of stuff. There's over 200 videos. Please go subscribe, go check us out. A lot of content to enjoy in one place. And now that I'm finally done with that spiel, hey, Grandma.
Yes.
Hey, Grandma.
Yes. Hey, Dom.
Tell them where they can find our audio podcast, please.
You can find us on anchor.fm/TRWT. From there, you can find us wherever podcasts are freely distributed. Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Wherever you listen to your podcast, that's where you'll find us.
Awesome.
Yep.
Oh, and of course, if you want any of our merch, we got you covered there. trwtmerch.threadless.com. Go to the website. You're going to see our logos. I'm going to be adding a few soon, and there are so many options that'll make your head spin. You can catch everything there in all kinds of different logos, colors, styles, you name it. Go to trwtmerch.threadless.com. Get yours today. Rep your favorite podcast, no matter where you are, because you can get this shit internationally, y'all. I had so many people complain about that. We got fans in the UK. We have fans in Chile. We have fans all over. They're like, oh, I can't get your stuff. Well, now you can. So go do it, because like I said, these bills ain't getting any lower. These prices ain't getting any lower. We need this money. Buy a fucking shirt or something, please.
Do it.
For sure.
Thank God that is out of the way. Everybody enjoy, hopefully, Dominion, if you're watching, RVD's Return to Wrestling. Just enjoy wrestling in general. If it's not your cup of tea, let somebody else drink it. And of course, Grandma.
Stay fresh, cheese bags.
Yeah. That's one way to end the show. I don't know about y'all, but I think that's a good way. Again, thank you, Mike. We appreciate this. We will definitely have you back soon. And
yes.
Oh, what is it? Fridays you do the ECW reviews?
Yeah.
Okay, I might have to switch our podcast one day, so I go do that with him.
I mean, I don't want to do it also. Like, if you want to do it on Wednesday, it's cool. Like, you let me know.
All right, bro. All right,
People say my podcast, like, I always set a schedule. I'm like, all right, every Friday we're going to be doing this. And then all of a sudden it's like on a Wednesday because I missed one Friday. So it's like, all right, you have like the most inconsistent podcast. So there's no worries.
Trust me, dude. I know how it goes. I mean, we usually do this Friday. We end up doing it Saturday. Some days it's Thursday. Sometimes it's Sunday. But we try to do Friday. Like, it's whenever we can fucking do it. Yeah. But we will definitely set that up and look forward to that, folks. And we will catch you next week.